One indiscriminate day, the world was plunged into catastrophe. People were forced underground and had to rely on the vast subway system to survive. This is how the story of Metro Royale begins. And so, welcome! After the catastrophe, the world was changed forever. New buildings popped up all over the surface, and a myriad of factions no one had ever heard of before sprung forth. The world underground kept developing, growing increasingly complex even as danger lurked in every corner. Some areas even saw the arrival of never-before-seen monsters. To survive in this harsh environment, you must arm yourself and gear up, scour the world for supplies, and eliminate enemies for their loot. Then make your way to the return point and evacuate within the allotted time. After evacuating, you can exchange your on-hand supplies for wealth to purchase even more advanced weapons and equipment. Become even stronger. In times like these, people will do anything to gain an advantage. That's why, when you're out collecting supplies, besides looking out for the various factions, stay vigilant against other players' attacks. If you get eliminated, they'll be able to loot your supplies. However, don't be discouraged. In this place, you'll have like-minded comrades to support you. You will experience the hardships of growth together as you gradually transform into mighty heroes. Are you all ready to face this dangerous yet thrilling new world? Welcome to Metro Royale Rookie Manual. Today, we'll be introducing Metro Royale modes to help you get to know the features and gameplay of each mode. In Metro Royale, there are 4 modes: the Basic Maps Basic Mode and Undercover Mode, and the Advanced Maps Advanced Mode and Assault Mode. In Basic Mode, players can open crates or eliminate enemies in the map to get supplies and loot, then reach the return point to evacuate and take home the loot. Basic Mode can be a great training ground to help players get familiar with the map environment and resource allocation. And if you don't evacuate safely, no need to worry. Although being eliminated in Basic Mode will cause your supplies and loot to be dropped, you won't lose your equipment. Activating Undercover Mode requires an Undercover Agent ID. Players don't need to bring their own equipment, as they will be undercover and disguised as bandits in the map. Bandits in the map won't initiate attacks on players. This allows players to freely travel between different areas, open crates to collect supplies, without bandits getting in your way. But if players actively attack and eliminate a bandit, their identity will be exposed. Do keep in mind that undercover equipment is weak, so stay vigilant against other players. Activating advanced maps requires a certain loadout value. Compared to basic maps, advanced maps are more abundant in supplies and have more diverse gameplay. Radiation zones can only be found in advanced maps and are full of supplies, which attracts lots of players. Many enemies are also stationed there, making for intense combat. Players eliminated in advanced mode have a certain probability of dropping their equipment, leading to high risk and high rewards. Activating Assault Mode also requires a certain loadout value. When entering Assault Mode, players don't need to bring their own equipment and will enter a match that is already underway with other players. Enemies in the map won't initiate attacks on players, but players that actively attack and eliminate them will have their identity exposed. Players eliminated in Assault Mode won't lose the equipment they had before the start of the match, and players who evacuate safely will obtain additional rewards. And since advanced maps are abundant in supplies, playing Assault Mode is a great opportunity to cash in on the low risk and high reward. That's it for the 4 Metro Royale modes. Choose the mode that best suits you and enjoy the fun of different modes. Welcome to Metro Royale Rookie Manual. Today, we'll be introducing the Frontline Confrontation map. Frontline Confrontation is a Metro Royale map suitable for rookies. This is where the Steel Front and the Cobras once fiercely fought. Members of both factions have remained even after the ceasefire. Due to the urban areas of Frontline Confrontation being relatively spread out, there is a lower chance of encountering other players when collecting supplies. The overall pace of this map is relatively relaxed. However, the terrain being mostly flat results in a very open view. Most areas only offer trees or rocks as cover. Thus, you'll need to be extra careful of enemies when moving about and evacuating. That's why, many players opt for the underground routes. Frontline Confrontation has 5 underground areas, 2 subway lines, a tunnel, a storage vault, and an armory. Be aware that enemies hiding in the dark underground areas are difficult to detect. Those who wish to safely explore the underground areas should bring a night vision helmet, night vision goggles, or a thermal sight scope to see enemies in the dark. Since Frontline Confrontation doesn't have a radiation zone and urban supplies are spread out, those wishing to collect supplies quickly can go to the underground storage vault connected to Battle Line. After scavenging the surface, head deeper underground to search for more supplies. Furthermore, Frontline Confrontation has 2 password-locked doors, located at Tribe and Yasnaya PD. They must be opened using password letters of the corresponding color. Password letters are commonly found in the file cabinets or file packages. The supply crates behind the password-locked doors contain valuable items that can be sold and are important resource points. Of course, you can also challenge the bosses. Apart from the 2 permanent bosses marked on the Frontline Confrontation map, bosses also randomly spawn. These bosses have high health and varied attacks. Before challenging them, make sure to have enough ammo and consumables. When fighting a boss, utilize the cover of your surroundings or move quickly to dodge attacks. Defeating these powerful enemies provides a chance to get better equipment. That's all for this intro to the Frontline Confrontation map. Go explore it yourself. Welcome to Metro Royale, Rookie Manual. The old blockade zone was formerly a military-restricted area, but now 2 evil forces divide the land. If Frontline Confrontation could be considered as a new player's tutorial, then Old Blockade Zone would be their first real adventure into the underground. Old Blockade Zone is more abundant in supplies than Frontline Confrontation. However, accessing the Old Blockade Zone's advanced mode also has a higher loadout requirement. Old Blockade Zone is a dense urban area with tightly packed buildings. While collecting supplies, it's common to encounter other players, so don't let down your guard while exploring. Of course, you can also move around via the underground routes. Although Old Blockade Zone only has 1 subway line, it's vast and complex, connecting multiple areas of the underground. Of those areas, the deserted base is a dark zone. Dark zones have lots of supplies, but are also shrouded in danger. Night vision equipment is a must. Continue following the subway line to reach the radiation zone. The radiation zone has the best rewards, but also the most risk. It contains valuable supplies, but is full of radiation and danger. When entering, be ready to face radiation and enemies. Besides the fast procurement of supplies in the radiation zone, Old Blockade Zone also has 3 password-locked doors, blocking you from some high-value sellable items. They're located in the barracks, snake pit, and the underground garage. Password letters of the corresponding color must be used to open the door and obtain the supplies. To obtain better supplies and equipment, you will need to challenge and eliminate bosses. Apart from the 2 permanent bosses marked on the map, there are also a few points that randomly spawn invasion bosses that provide more opportunities to obtain equipment. That's all for this intro to the Old Blockade Zone map. Go explore it yourself. Welcome to Metro Royale, Rookie Manual. Today, we'll be introducing the Misty Port map. Misty Port was originally a small portside town with a pleasant climate, but a few incidents left it a desolate area that is now restricted. Only 2 major forces remain, competing for resources. Misty Port's main activity area is 1,700 by 900 square meters. It has rich and complex terrain, and although the urban resource points are scattered, there are many zip lines around the map connecting to the subway line, allowing you to get around quickly. Because of this, Misty Port's overall battle pace is quite fast and intense. The 2 boss spawn points act as gathering points for battles. Compared to other maps, Misty Port's underground isn't as dark and night vision equipment isn't as necessary. Although the subway line is very long and spans the entire map, those wanting to quickly collect supplies will have to go to the radiation zone, the mine warehouse. The mine warehouse is located in the upper right side of the map. Many mutated enemies lurk there, and the large warehouse lab at the center randomly spawns a mutant boss Variant F who uses fire, or Variant P who spews venom. These mutants guard the warehouse's valuable supplies. Compared to the two previous maps, the high-value sellable items in Misty Port are more common. To quickly get these supplies, you can skip opening crates in the radiation zone and head to the 3 password-locked doors instead. Obtain password letters of the corresponding colors to open them, and obtain the loot within. There are 2 fixed bosses in Misty Port, Firejoy and Fire Roy, that use fire attacks. When challenging them with teammates, spread out as much as possible. Also, be aware that there is chance in each match for the bosses to become reinforced. The bosses can then transform into special bosses that use drones and shields, Handsome Jesse or Handsome Pete. When facing off against them with teammates, make sure to focus your fire. Defeating these powerful enemies provides a chance to get better equipment. That's all for this intro to the Misty Port map. Go explore it yourself.
Introducing PUBG Mobile's Metro Royale. Aside from the classic Battle Royale mode, now it also includes the Metro Royale game mode. Metro Royale tests players' shooting and evacuation strategies. Make sure to load up your inventory with equipments, ammunition, and healing supplies before entering the battlefield. There are 2 extraction points on the map. Plan your route strategically to maximize the extraction of your loot and return safely to the lobby. The main objective will be maximizing the loot value before heading to the extraction point within the time limit, as the loot will carry forward for your progress in future games. There are different types of unique bandits, ranging from normal bandits to snipers and cobra bandits. Make sure to defend yourself from other players too. Survival should be your first priority, as all current inventory items will be lost upon elimination. Buy various weapons, armor, attachments, and advanced items from the merchant in the black market to upgrade your loadouts. Progress will be carried forward, which can continuously enhance the strength of your equipment. Choose the map selection at the bottom left side. Currently, there are 4 maps with unique areas, enemies, and interactions for you to explore. Gain access to advanced mode as you progress, where there are more challenging enemies, higher tier loot, and access to the dangerous radiation zone. The new chapter of Metro Royale introduces a new mode called Zombie Uprising, featuring zombies in place of bandits, significantly more dangerous enemies, new weapons, and higher tier loot. There are many new zombie bosses introduced, each with their own unique characteristics. Keep an eye on the map, as bosses will spawn throughout the game as night arrives. It introduces a day and night system where nighttime exploration becomes significantly dangerous with increased mobs and boss spawns. Stick with your team.
Welcome once again to the PMSL Southeast Asia Metro Royale, and this is Contra here alongside with Choo Choo to bring you another exciting weekend of action. Choo Choo, I'm so glad to have you on board because we've wrapped up the qualifiers the past week, and now we're in for our group stages.
Yeah, we definitely have our 12 teams right now across 4 groups, A, B, C, and D. I think we're going to break it down later on. And thank you, Contra. It's nice to share the desk with you again. And speaking of which, I'm looking forward so much when it comes to Metro Royale because I do know it's not for everybody. It's something that you really have to have a still hard kind of heart. It's not for the faint-hearted people to play. Plus, it's quite scary sometimes. If you don't like zombies, this is not for you. But definitely, I'm into zombies. I mean, like, this is gonna be it.
Yeah.
This is what we just super excited for.
Yeah, and whatever you just mentioned is absolutely true because last week we had our heart stop a couple of times on some of all these circumstances these teams are being put through. Not only do they have to be really good in scavenging for all these high tier loots, they also have to survive. Something that you might have thought, hey, that's what they have always done in all these Metro Royale mode. But no, Metro Royale is absolutely different because teams can ambush you and steal all your valuable loots away even at the very final moment. So I'm hoping to see what the group stages will offer this time around. And speaking of which, you know, we have also a whole lot of new names to be joining us throughout this week. So let's take a look at the breakdown of what we have to offer. Of course, we've already had the open qualifiers from the 10 as well as 11 that has passed. And here we are in the group stages as they will have to play a round robin of 6 matches per day.
Yeah, when it comes to week number 1, which is today, 17th of August, you're going to have the rotation of Group A, B for 2 maps, and then A, C for 2 maps, and last but not least, A, D for 2 maps as well. And which across all 3 weeks, we have 6 matches per day. We're going to get into the grand finals later on the 7th of September, and only top 6 teams from the group stage will only qualify to the finals. So there's not going to be a lot of spots for these teams. They have to find it out since day number 1 there. And we have 1 team per country for each representative, and also 9 invited teams. So you have to wait and see who will it be.
That's right, Choo Choo, and only the top 6 teams will make it to the grand finals. And if you guys are wondering, this is a brand new point system that they'll be working on as well. So each respective match, they'll be scoring points based on the loot value as well as player elimination points. Each elimination is 300,000. Sounds like a lot, but the loot value does add up a whole lot more. And this time, we are including bonus points for our weekly standings as well. So based on their respective finishing rank, they'll be placed into, of course, a chart where they'll be fighting for the maximum points, which is 20, and then on second place is 17, as you can see on your screen right there, all the way down to 12. So you don't want to be on that 12th position throughout the course of the weeks to come.
And also when it comes to the prize pool breakdown, now this is something that everybody hype 4, and it's going to be a total prize pool of $10,000 with the first place taking the lion's share of it at $1,500. Second place $1,250. It's going to be a deduction of $250 each of the rankings. Down to the last place, I assume they're still going to get away with something at $175. But we're not done yet. Like I mentioned before, there's going to be 4 groups in total: A, B, C, and D.
That's right. In Group A, we have Seb9, Moms, as well as nongYing. In Group B, Boom Esports, PRME, as well as ETS. And Group C, we got FaZe Clan, MCR, HLB. And Group D, it's TMTP, AKG, as well as FLS. And some of you guys may be wondering what happened to certain teams out there. We'll be elaborating in a moment's time, where first you might be missing out on names like Royal Naga Indonesia, as well as Badak Kendo MY. Unfortunately, some of the teams that we'll mention here had violated some of the tournament rule set, which is why we are bringing in even names coming in from the qualifiers that did manage to finish on their second spot. So not to worry, we'll still be able to fill you some high quality games, as we'll be looking at what's at stake here. Lots of money on the line, and of course, a brand new mode for everybody to enjoy. So this is where we'll have to see how they will fare as they move into 2 different maps. But of course, if you guys are brand new into this mode, these are some of the things that you have to know, where of course you have to prioritize on what your strategy is to route into certain areas to not only loot but also evacuate very safely, and to see whether if you're up for battles or not throughout the course of the phase, or do you want to stay safe throughout all times.
And also don't forget, when it comes to battle, yes, you can battle across the map with another team and another player, but don't forget about the bosses as well, where they will actually drop one of the most luxurious and high value loots out there. So as long as you got a teammate, it's going to be okay. But this is going to be the loadout preview for week 1 and probably day number 1 as well. We're going to have the vast level 3 with no attachment, a poly 7.62 bullets at 300. And there's also a gas bottle, flamethrower, MK14 at level 3, painkiller, first aid will be 2 of them, bandages will be 10, energy drink, mag kit, helmet level 3, and backpack level 6, grenade, 3 of them will be supplied for each of the player, and smoke and some Molotov as well. That's not going to be a lot, but it's going to be enough for them to survive.
Yeah, and looking at some of all these loadout, where you can either choose between the flamethrower or even the AK-47. I think that the AK-47 has been a lot more popular, but I would definitely love to see if any of these teams do carry out the flamethrower heading into this matchup. But of course, most importantly, all of these teams are just equipped with these high value vests as well as backpack. Well, backpack, of course, you do need a whole lot of loot to book out around. But I do notice that there are changes into some of the gears here. If you do take the AK-47, you will only start with the helmet level 3 as well as vest level 3. So I guess like this is going to be maybe a less tanky setup. But hey, so this is very, very efficient to hit it right into battles.
Yep, it depends on the map itself, because this is going to be the second map loadout, Arctic Base, and Zombie Uprising is the one we mentioned before, and there's going to be 2 different set of loadout based on the map itself. But when it comes to the match of the day, we're going to have 2 maps entirely today for the rotations. A and B first going against Zombie Uprising and Arctic Base, and then we have Group A and C in the same rotation of map, Zombie Uprising and Arctic Base. Same goes for C and D for 6 maps to finish off and wrap up our week 1, day 1 of the Metro Royale.
Yeah, and this is going to be really exciting because the past week throughout the qualifiers, we don't get to see all these big names such as Seb9 as well as Boom Esports. And here they are basically going head to head when they are moving into this matchup. Now, I really do wonder how would they fare, because judging from the qualifiers, some of the teams really do need to take their own sweet time to get used to the tempo of play, or will Seb9 as well as both esports be feeling like their superstar rosters and just basically go guns blazing? We do not know. I think that is what is a little bit scary for all these teams out there who will be challenging some of all the pro teams. But looking at teams like ESTIR the Strong, nongYing, MetroMini as well as Prime Team, I think they should be able to hold themselves well enough. So, of course, with that being said, before we kickstart the show, we got something to offer to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, out there.
Yep, it's going to be 330 airdrop kind of a key art for you guys this time. And it's going to be the key art that for what? It's going to be a different thing entirely. PUBG Mobile Airdrop Carnivals is already officially open. So don't forget to call your friends to join in for the Pirate Bash and explore the Ocean Odyssey new team area Pirates Booty Island and collect the airdrop tokens and head to the Airdrop Carnival in-game events. And upgrade your airdrop crate to level 5 for a guaranteed set or emote of your choice. So don't forget for this crate and upgrade to level 5 and make sure to get it between the 16th of August to 18th of August to open your airdrop crate.
That's right. And on top of that, there is also the Galadria X-Suit and advanced upgradable MG3 that's currently available. And it's not going to be all for long because this is only up until the 13th of August. But of course, that being said, it might have actually passed. So I hope that you guys have already actually secured yours already. It seems like there's going to be an extension to the 30th. So you guys still got plenty of time till September ends. So with that being said, I believe that, promo's pretty much up for grabs. So we are here for the Metro Royale clash where, all eyes are on some of these teams on how they will fare because from judging from the qualifiers, I think ESTIR the Strong coming from Thailand looks to be one of the most solid squads out there playing this Metro Royale mode where they've been able to bring a very stable gameplay. But when push comes to shove, they are also super aggressive. But the question here is, can they be as aggressive as Boom Esports or even Sem9, who has seen countless of battles in, so many tournaments?
I mean, like for Sem9 especially, we do know Loyu is actually playing Metro Royale these days, so I'm looking forward for that because we have a lot of veteran PUBG Mobile players playing alongside with Sem9's lineup. But don't forget, we also have like nongYing or nongYing as their full team name coming up from G9. He's playing. There's going to be also a legendary player that everybody loves. Martin is there. Godard is there. So
wow.
All these legendary players, they're done with the Battle Royale. You know what? We're going to go and shoot zombies and try to evacuate ourselves and play more a survival game instead of usual PUBG Mobile game. So you guys have to try the Metro Royale mode. I tried it myself. I tried to fight the bosses myself. It didn't work out for me. Maybe because I'm a noob. That's why I'll be standing here just talking about it instead of playing the game. But when it comes to all the teams, these are the names that we do know. Once upon a time, when they are in their prime age, they were one of the most legendary players out there.
Yeah, I cannot forget some of all these golden moments coming in from these members of nongYing, whether it's Illuminate the Murder, getting back-to-back chicken dinners, or even RRQ Athena. These are the names that, if you guys have watched from day one of PUBG Mobile Esports, that some people say is the golden era, or some of these guys out there are even still competing up to this very date. And even so, even if they're not, they're always in the scene coming from Thailand. So I guess that's what's really exciting to actually see them still participating in tournaments as such. So Metro Royale really brings everybody back together. So other than that, like when we take a look at the side of Sem9, like it seems like there's also going to be a little bit of a switcheroo. It's not going to be the full pro team on board. So it's going to be pretty interesting to also see, the mix up between, of course you have names like Ruyu, like you mentioned. There's also Kenny, but I've not heard of, Kinsu or even Lantizi. So let's see what do they really have to offer later on as well.
But it's not just about a pilot, it's about the teamwork. Don't forget, if you guys are new for Metro Royale mode, we're just going to break it down for a bit. Simply try to, TLDR version for you guys. Basically, everybody got themselves the loadout, the same loadout for every single map. There's going to be different map, different loadout. So it's not going to be the usual Metro Royale where you have to buy it yourself. So they're starting out with all the same loadout for each of the player and team. Plus, when it comes to extraction, don't forget, despite they have 4 men alive, if they not extracted that one single player till the very end and he's alive, he's still stuck in there in the game, it's going to be back down to 0. So no points or no loadout by the end of the day that will be extracted from their run. And only we have around 20 minutes of cap, so don't forget about getting out of the map, because that's going to be the main objectives of the day. But there's so many ways to actually play this one. We're going to get into the game later on, but that's going to be the TLDR version, how to actually make sure that you get points by end of each round.
Yeah, I think that's really important, Choo-Choo, because on that qualifier round where certain teams that were just so happy looting and they absolutely forgot that there is a limit to the timer. And some of them actually miss out on the mark where if you look at the clock and it passes 10 and you're not out of the map, you're not evacuated yet, those points, they go back to 0. That's how sad things can actually be. So teams, you gotta also time themselves throughout whatever they're doing throughout the map, whether if it's hunting out for other players or even going in for, last hurdle of loot. Like, these are some of the things that they have to keep in mind. When you see the timer going close to 12 minutes, maybe it's about time they move into the evacuation zone. So just to get all these points secured for the team, than to be at risk of not making it out throughout the course of, those 20 minutes being spent.
Now, speaking of 20 minutes, it sounds long for us, but it's actually very quick when it comes to the players. You don't feel the time actually pass by when you, like, in my case, when I actually play the game, I get distracted so much. Ooh, this item seems a bit expensive. Oh, this watch looks a bit shiny. And when you start to look everything, you want to snatch everything away, it's difficult. It's like you're going shopping, but you have very limited amount of time to do your shopping, which is not going to be enough anyway, because there's too many things they actually have to window shop till the end of the day. But speaking of which, now we do know when it comes to loot as well, there's so many loots down there. Even the magazine do have value, right? But it's one of the cheapest one. I don't think anybody want to waste their pocket just to get those cheap ones. And speaking of which, you have to select the perfect loot at the perfect timing to extract out later. So if they miss that loot before, like, okay, I saw this loot that's super expensive, or even a huge big amount of cash that kind of not been looted before, maybe because they are running low for spaces, they might actually not run into those big loots later on. So they have to figure out how to safely organize and how to distribute the loot among the team members so they won't overload themselves to the extent that there's no space anymore.
Yeah, I like that you brought this out as well. It's just like you going on to the supermarket and the only thing that you could do is to fill up that trolley. Like, imagine like you go around and like, hey, I want like a brand new fan. Like, can you actually fit that into your trolley? You got to consider, what do you actually have to take out? So this is where it becomes a good problem to have. That means that you are surviving and you have the luxury to loot up. Like, for some of these teams, they love to go in for those early battles and they might just take each other out before they even get to feel that so-called trolley, which is basically their backpack. But speaking of which, Choo-Choo, it's about time as we do kick off our very first match of the PUBG Mobile Super League Southeast Asia Metro Royale, and within 5 seconds from now. So if you guys are excited, let's hit right in for our very first match.
Starting off our map with 7-9 across our screens. It's going to be nice. We have Lanzalo and the rest of 7-9, and also this coming up from team number 5, which I think there's going to be a different team entirely. We have PRME. There's going to be a prime team. Boom coming up from a big name, Boom Esports. But we do have early skirmishes, surprisingly, because it's about survival game. But who cares, as long as they got themselves each player of the other side of the team, there's going to be 300,000 in the bag.
Oh, it's G9 already at work, taking out another fellow Thai team. And it's ETS that came in from the qualifiers, but he's feeling a little rusty. That's going to be a grenade being lobbed towards the back, but I believe that to be a smoke. But a good knock, though. Now, G9, he just locks the entire squad into the compound. Are they going to push from here? Martin's coming for a flank. There is an evacuation spot, but this is too early to use that. So grenades are exchanged for both ends, and it's connecting coming from the side of ETS.
This is not great. for nongYing. Now, they seems to be a bit overconfident just now to take the fight against ETS, but on the side of ESTIR, the strong ETS fighting back as a Zip come out from the flank side, try to finish off the rest of nongYing, but this is not doing great at all. If they're being eliminated there, for ETS, they lost one member early on, so that's just making sure they have lesser loadout when it comes to extraction. Despite if they survive this, it's going to be only survive with 2 or 3 members, but ETS down to only Ban Z here stands, and nongYing, they have heavy casualties as well. Now, that's going to be costly for both teams.
Yeah, it's extremely costly, but I'm just really surprised that ETS can just wither down some of the numbers coming from the side of nongYing. Just look at this. Goddard is already out of the match, but that grenade does connect, and they have secured it. They take 3 eliminations, or should I say a full squad wipe to ace them all out. And now G9 will get to enjoy a little bit of a spoils of war.
Now, there's so many ways to play this Metro Royale, right? Because one of it, yeah, you can actually just go straight off the bat and find the other team players to just finish them off. So you have lesser amount of problem to actually deal with. So you can actually have more when it comes to the loadout. Plus, the value of kill of each player is quite a hefty amount as well. But the downside of this, the trade-off, is going to be you probably going to have lesser men to carry out your loadouts for later on to calculate of the after effects of the war just now. Yeah, nongYing actually won that fight, but at a cost. They lost 1 man, and that's a lot of pockets to lose from looting.
That's true. When you lose 1 member, you can only pocket so many things around the vicinity of what this map really has to offer. Meanwhile, 7-9, they get straight down to business. They went into the mining carts and straight into the radiation zone where they might actually bump into Boom Esports as well. Boom, they are well wary of this. Staffman's going to be able to find that spray. He does connect onto Kenny before he even makes it into the warehouse. This is not going to look all too good for the side of 7-9, needing to resuscitate that fallen member. And also, they have barely started their loot yet. Meanwhile, from the side of MetroMini, they've already looted 300,000's worth right now, hitting that 400K as well. But 7-9, they're in a pickle as they're surrounded by Boom.
Now, on the side of Boom, they can actually just part ways if they decide to just go away with it. Not going to take the fight and not going to commit to this. But for the side of Boom, they also have the calculation of, you know what, but if you want to fight, we can. We do have the upper ground. But thing is, it's not just them alone, because it's going to be swarming with zombies in here as well. Now, on the side of Boom, they definitely try to represent himself, trying to find the rest of 7-9 who are actually indoors, and a swarm of, or even a horde of zombies coming in. And they barely got enough yet for MetroMini. They don't really care. I mean, like, they're the type of teams, you know what, we're just gonna go and loot and let these other guys and let the other boys fight each other out, because we are getting a big win anyways, because they're too distracted to fight against each other.
That's true. Now, speaking of which, that's gonna be a great trade coming from Sam Dappin, 1-for-1 right now, and it's gonna be Kenny that goes right back at them. Boom! They just get obliterated in a blink of an eye so swiftly, and here goes. The entire squad of 7-9 can just dominate this radiation area.
Oh, it's gonna be the boss. And I think getting easy just finish them off. Yep, that's going to be huge loot as well. But is it worthy if you compare it with where Prime and Mom is actually stands out? And MetroMini seems to be just taking the lead and keep adding those numbers up. Well, Kenny tried to redeem themselves at the rest of 7-9 after they won over against Boom just now. Tried to find any bosses as much as possible and loot from there on. And right now, 7-9 already cutting across to 2nd place. Despite Prime, you don't see them getting too aggressive too much. And 7-9 seems to be making sure they make up good time here. But they need to finish off this boss as soon as they can. And don't forget about the timing, guys, because the time is all about extraction later.
That's right. And speaking of which, you know, they managed to not only eliminate both Boom, but also find themselves in a great area of play. They should be able to take a firm lead at the moment, while Moms, as much as they've been looting up for most part of the matchup, where we don't really get a glimpse out of the side of MetroMini just yet, 7-9 now takes down the boss against the great value, which is worth a whole lot. Of course, the golden ones are the highest of value. But going back towards the side of nongYing as well, G9 has managed to also take down another boss, or should I say, dealing with another boss right now, getting chased. But G9, he knows how to dodge all these tough circumstances, should be able to make it out alive.
I don't know if he can actually dodge that one out. Yeah, finally he will just get out. There's gonna be nongYing trying to catch up to the points. Sid got himself at 4th place, but on the side of SOZ, now he's dealing with the boss as well. And it's going to be difficult, take them some time, and time is not on the side here. Less than 25 minutes for them to go and extract and try to find as much loot as possible, with them being left behind at 4th place due to how aggressive and how busy they were in the start of the game. But I'm loving MetroMini, how they actually play. They are very objective-oriented teams, very disciplined indeed. All they need to do is just keep picking up whatever you can find while we're on the way to our extraction point. So right now, they're taking the lead, but never mind. Pushed down by Sam9. I don't know how they did it, but they did it anyways. Almost a million worth of loot and loadout that they actually have right now.
Yeah, you can see all of them are being so competitive with the loots right now. Meanwhile, from the side of MetroMini, they're also dealing with a horde of zombies from the outskirts. It's nighttime, baby, where a bunch of zombies will swarm you if you're not careful enough. Nighttime is where they love to come out and party. Meanwhile, there's also another evacuation point that's pretty close by. Are they going to look towards evacuating early? It's still plenty of time, where you got maybe about 12 more minutes on the clock at the moment. So there's still plenty of spaces where MetroMini could still look around to loot up. But they also have to be very careful on their approach as well, because you don't want to bump onto the side of 7-9 or even those other teams like nongYing that has been so aggressive in this matchup. Well, of course, we did manage to get a glimpse of action in the early game between all these squads. I believe that they are now on each segregated areas for them to safely loot up at the moment. Let's just see how they will fare throughout the span of the next 10 minutes though.
For MetroMini, they are fighting against the horde just now that happen to be rushing into their place. They're around the main area of the plant. And for the side of Cheese Love and the rest of them, they don't have anybody to lose yet. It's going to be great news for them, but they definitely need to heal themselves back up. Hopefully they have enough for Cheese Love. He definitely needs some backup there. I think there's going to be a couple of bosses laying around, and they're just going to ignore those zombie dogs anyway. But he really needs to heal himself back up, and probably going to have a couple of support fire will be helpful as well. But back towards the side of Sam9, being pushed down by MetroRoyale. They're still dealing with those bosses. But the problem is, it's already nighttime, so they have to deal with much more than that.
Yeah, it's been quite some time that they've been spending inside the radiation zone, where they also receive some chip damage in between. Speaking of which, damage has been offered from the side of G9 towards the members of Prime, and this is going to be a tough one to crack. All the members of Prime team are gathered indoors, and immediately as it goes, it seems like they managed to get that knock right through, and the rest of nongYing, they will look to advance, and this is not going to be all too easy for those indoors to deal with the ongoing pursuit out of the Thai team that has been regarded as some of the best players in the region.
What I look at nongYing is like, they don't care what they have in front. If they have bosses, if they have hordes, if they even have players, they will just try to crush them down. Even if there's going to be something else, a mountain in front of them, they will crush the mountains as well. But Zip and the rest of nongYing will try to reposition himself to find the rest of the player of Prime right now seems to be in trouble. Alexis being cornered down into one particular room, and for Zip, it's no problem for the rest of nongYing as well to flush them out. Now this definitely going to rack the numbers up the side of nongYing.
Indeed, right now, SOZip so low, he has to also heal up. Whereas the rest of nongYing, now that they have pretty much cleared the majority of the members of Prime team, it's only down to Naeem. What can Naeem do? He goes in for a trade of grenades, but it's a 1 versus 3 scenario, and it will not last to tell the tale as nongYing clears off another squad, and that adds 8 eliminations to that tally. That's like what? Well,
Definitely
that's
over a
2.4
million.
million.
Definitely
That's
over a
2.4
million by
million.
now. Look how they just catch up to the side of 7-9's loot due to Prime just now. They've been looted up so much and so long just to be taken away by nongYing in the very last minute. Now when it comes to nongYing and 7-9, they're taking the lead. So like it or not, these guys have to face the wrath of the teams, not just the zombies here. Because these two teams, 7-9 and nongYing, definitely not willing to play it safe and not willing to play it quiet. They're the type of teams, you know what? If we find a player versus the zombies bosses, they will go for the players first, definitely, because they know for a fact, we're just going to take them out of the equation, take the players and the teams out of the equation, which make their numbers a bit more a better chance of getting and winning this run of map. And not just that, it's making it's easier for them. We don't have to loot up, we just have to kill the players and we take away their loot instead. We don't have to go and find and shopping anymore.
Yeah, that's a perfect game plan for a team being so aggressive throughout the course of the battle. And, perhaps nongYing's point of view is like, the real bosses as well as zombies are actually the other squads out there because, once we settle with them, there's not going to be any more challenge up ahead. And they've already cleared out almost half of the lobby already. Now we only got about 7.5 minutes to go before they look for an evacuation point. Meanwhile, I would definitely commend the side of MetroMini to be able to hold out on their own for the most part. But the only problem here is they're playing through the outskirts. They're not exactly in the areas with the highest value of loot. So they are currently quite behind when it comes down to some of the numbers that we are looking at between nongYing as well as 7-9 at the moment.
Probably just waiting around extraction points, but since we only have 3 teams left, even if they waited out on the extraction points, probably just trying to, last minute to take out these players just where they're going to exit out. But there's going to be chances that they might actually wait at a different exit point or extraction points as well. So for MetroMini, they had a very good start, of course, but now it seems like they've been left behind. And like it or not, either they go and try to find these teams to fight it out and just share among themselves and take away these leads of 7-9 or nongYing, or maybe just with what time they have left right now, try to find all the bosses as much as they can.
Yeah, it really feels like 7-9 has cleared the entire sector, and they're the only ones that's currently in the radiation zone, which they're not even worried about, whatever chip damage that there is. They're fully boosted up, where they've basically been hanging around this entire course of the field for most part. So they've managed to stash about 3.4 mil. By the end game, I would assume if things go in the favor of 7-9, they might walk away with more than 5 million points. Added on top with all the elimination value, that's 1.2 already. So things are looking pretty good. But for the side of MetroMinis, they are still clearing on the outskirts and have reached the corners of power plant. It's going to be Winata dealing with a swarm of zombies. This is not looking all too good. Winata's all by himself. Okay. Can he handle pressure though? Well, seems like he could. No problem at all.
It's gonna be the boomer zombies coming in, and with Mantap being charged by a horde, I think it's gonna be okay for now. At least he got himself some time to kill in his hands, but they definitely need a better loot and better places to go for the side of the MetroMini if they actually want to take over for the first map here. But instead of 7-9, the radiation zone is where they will park themselves the longest and start to push themselves and launch themselves up there. As extraction points for 7-9, they satisfied with their performance. They want to get out, and it's a done deal. And they are in the lead still for nongYing to catch up with whatever time they have left. I'm not sure if they can actually close the gap at this point. 3 million. Over 3 million for 7-9.
Oh boy, it's going to be a little tight of a gap to actually close out. Also, do remember that there is another difference in terms of the elimination points as well. At least about 1.2 million in difference between 7-9 as well as nongYing, because they've got those 8 pointers to actually book out of this round. So long as they close in another 2 million, they should be good to go. But they still got some time to spare at the moment. 2 minutes left on the clock. Meanwhile, the rest of MetroMini, they're also looking to eject out of this match. Then they will walk away with 360 for the meantime.
I swear to God, for MetroMini, they definitely don't know how much of a gap they have between them and 79 right now. If they've known, they definitely will try to stay and prolong this just a tiny bit longer. For the side of nongYing, they know they feel like it's not going to be enough yet. They're not satisfied with what they have, so they're not ejecting out to the extraction point. But whilst on the side of nongYing, how much is actually the numbers that we're looking for? Are they actually going for 2 million for every single map just to feel satisfied? Then only they will extract out. Probably there's going to be a certain number with certain teams, right? Okay, there's the minimum amount of loot that we're going to have by end of this round. Then only they will be satisfied with it. So far, I think 79 definitely had a big, fat run for the first looting in the Uprising map just now. But for the others, they might actually catch up for the next one.
Yes, indeed, and it's still a very close battle between nongYing as well as 79. As you can see, the difference is less than 1 million right now, with 79 taking the most points to close off our very first match with 3,895,000. So kudos to 79. They will take the lead through the course of Group A versus Group B for the very first match. But remember this, we're also moving into the Arctic matchup up next. So there are plenty of opportunities for even teams that got wiped out earlier, like Esports, still strong, to also make their mark heading into the upcoming battle.
Now, when it comes to the numbers, right, there's going to be so much calculation going on for the side of the other teams that are actually going to get into the next map here, which is going to be the Arctic base. We do know that 79 taking the lead almost got themselves a 4 million. We're just going to pull a full number, round it up around 4 million, right? So for the side of MetroMini, nongYing, especially for the teams that are being eliminated early just now, which are going to be like Boom, Esports, Prime Team, and also ETS. Now, they have to multiply the numbers from 79 into a double now for them to actually finish the second map here, because they can assume, and they have to assume, that 79 probably going to finish off the second map around the same amount of loot by the time they're extracting themselves out of the map. So for the side of MetroMini, nongYing, all their teams, especially these two teams, that actually survive a bit longer, the one that actually, the target they actually put up early on, it's not going to be enough. They thought maybe around 1 million should be enough for them to end the run. And for the side of MetroMini, it's like, half a million is going to be okay for now. We're just going to go slow and steady. But now with what 79 has to offer and how much they put up for their loot numbers, man, you got to put your standards a bit more higher now.
Yeah, I guess like there's also another thing to factor in as well, where perhaps certain teams that are looking at these roster of teams that are in the group, it's like, oh, you got nongYing with that superstar Thai squad, and you got 79 who's a pro team. Like, maybe they were thinking, maybe perhaps we can't really match up to that firepower. We want to play it safely, making sure that we will slowly pace ourselves heading into the Arctic matchup up next, where on to the second matchup here in the Arctic base advance, there is going to be a whole lot more loot to be gathered, where teams can even rack up to 7 million in total if they do it right. If they manage to get into some high priority areas to take down all these bosses. Like for 79, I think things have definitely went very well for them, because they took down Boom Esports, which was the only challenger in that radiation zone, and nobody else actually went in there, which is why 79, they got everything for themselves.
Yeah, because of how different the directions was aiming for the extraction point for each of the other teams just now. I agree. That's why it was crucial for them to take out Boom, just to capitalize themselves around the radiation area for the longest of time. And speaking of which, I think there's pretty much a good value and good knowledge for the other teams to just look up to, maybe just to follow the footsteps of 79 after this. Like, if you want to go for the zone, go for the radiation zones, where there's only a lot of spawns of bosses, and plus a lot of high loot, high rewards waiting for them as well, and nearby an extraction point. And not just that, they have to make sure that it's going to be worth it. Every single second do actually count for each of these teams, so they cannot afford to just lose one man. Even though despite, I think 79 lost a man early on, but they still have it enough, and they even scored themselves 4 elimination despite nongYing have 8 players ousted. It's going to be 2 teams, but the loot coming up from those eliminated teams wasn't enough.
Yeah, and this is where Boom Esports as well as Prime Team have a whole lot to catch up to because they got eliminated so early in this matchup. They walk away with 0 points, meaning to say in the Arctic base, they will really have to either look for a target and eliminate these teams out there so that they can have a lot more space to loot from. But I definitely want to see nongYing versus 7-9 later on. But speaking of which, there's plenty of targets on the back of 7-9 members, especially Luyu, that has brought in a ton of cash back into the squad with a value of 1.7 by himself. In terms of elimination points, he definitely did some damage throughout that battle that they had against the side of Boom Esports. But I think that most of these damages as well as eliminations were pretty much well spread out from the side of 7-9 for them to earn that bulk of an income heading into this match.
I feel like Luyu, okay, you guys, I'll help when I need to help you, but I'm a bit busy with, you know, my looting phase. Money is more important here, guys. Like, money is life, okay? And that's what he's doing, and he's been doing it great. But here comes a bit of recap what really happened. Now, for the side of 7-9, they went to the mine warehouse for the longest. They put themselves there. They waited for the longest time, even just going to extract themselves from there on. For the rest of the other teams, they're a bit occupied with whatever they have to deal with and just waited around the non-radiation zone that pretty much didn't do so much for them. But next, we have a different map entirely, which is going to be the Arctic base.
That's right. This is where we'll see the tides turn around. 7-9 that started really strong into our very first match of the Zombie Uprising may also find this to be a little bit more a struggle because majority of all these high value items are in the central area of the map. So this is also where we'll see maybe a little bit more battle coming into multiple squads heading into the radiation zone. You know, 7-9, they knew the priorities straight off the bat, right? They start off, they immediately went into the warehouses because they know that's where the high value loot is. Now, this is directly in the center for everybody to challenge. I believe that this is not going to be all too straightforward. At the very same time, who's going to be safe out of this sort of mess? It's time to actually find out because looking at how things started off, I really felt bad for the side of ESTIR Strong on how they had to bump up against even nongYing that started off so well, and now they just have to find a way to regain a little bit more because they walk off with 0. I believe that there is still a whole lot more that ESTIR Strong can offer in this match.
That's kind of true. And speaking of for the next map for Arctic base, we do know the loadout is going to be very different based on whatever that's suited well for the map itself. But speaking of which, it's always going to be you have to focus on one objective at a time, right? And that's what happened to 7-9. They know exactly where they want to loot themselves. You know, we don't want to go across the entire map and get messy and just, you know, dilly-dally ourselves with small loots and not, you know, it's something that they want to prioritize on. It's going to be where is going to be the most amount of value of loot they're gonna have to focus on and focus at one space only. If there's other team that trying to contend themselves against those places, they will fight them, and that's what the priority for their elimination of players as well. But there are some cases, right, where I can actually see this going. If you kind of worry if you don't have enough to loot and maybe you will be snatched away your loot value by the other teams, you can just go for the players and the team eliminations as well. At least you secure 100%, couple of points in there. If you get out the entire team, like maybe you can get a couple of players elimination, 300,000 per player. So a whole team is going to be around over 1 million, barely over 1 million. So it's going to be enough for them to actually secure every single map. They have some scores.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that was pretty much the approach of the side of nongYing, where, you know, whether if they make it out alive or not, they want to ensure that they get those elimination points, which will guarantee you, if you get a squad wipe, that's 1.2 million straight off the bat, which, you know, that was what happened when they challenged ESTIR Strong. And from their approach, they were also being very smart about it. Once they cleared one squad, they take a little bit more of a central area like school, which you can still find some bosses to basically fend off against, get some high value loot, and look for other teams that's going to be around that facility. So that's how they managed to at least dominate some of all these battles when it comes down to how things have played out into Zombie Uprising. But Arctic Base, maybe it's going to be even more challenging based on, the size of the map, as well as some of all these compounds that's pretty much spread out pretty much evenly heading into this matchup. So we do expect to see perhaps an eruption of battle coming into the early game, just like how we did early on. But man, some of these guys, they really love things to be a lot more explosive. So, which is where we go back into that early game fight. It has been pretty much going very well in favor of the side of nongYing. But now that we are moving into the Arctic Base, we'll take a good hard look into the silo area directly in the center. That's where everybody wants to be at. So without further ado, let's head right into Game 2 of Metro Royale Esports here in the PMSL.
It's going to be the donut map. I love to call it a donut map because it does look like a donut when you actually have the missile silo emptied out in the center, so it basically looks like a donut. But for the other teams now, everybody wants to go and find their best spot to loot up from. And we do know, personally, where do you think is going to be the highest value of loot here? Because I'm not very familiar with this map. I'm going to say it up front.
Well, ideally, everybody wants to be inside of missile silo to be able to reap the most out of the rewards. I guess like certain areas like special barracks as well as support center can still offer you a decent amount of loot. So perhaps these could be very good checkpoints before they dive directly into the middle. But also keep in mind, when teams move into the underground, that's where things can get a little bit messy because you might actually bump into all these other teams while you're riding on that mining cart or so. And it seems to me that Boom Esports might have found themselves a target. At this time, it will be nongYing that once again wants to go in for a little bit of collapse, but they're already moving into the underground passage. So perhaps the fight will have to wait for another moment. But for now, it's going to be a much safer start for the side of Prime Team, where they're currently taking a slight lead against the rest.
Everybody seems to be aiming for the underground tunnel. You do know, it seems like a very, very close space if everybody decided to go into the underground tunnel. And it's easy to bomb each other and compared to the open space on top of the surface area. I do prefer for them to actually, some of them play on the surface area and just have very divided level of terrain here. Because if everybody just goes into the tunnel, they might end up just having one team by the end of the day. But it depends on the team. Boom. Seems to me they are just focusing on what's in front of their eyes. But for the other teams, nongYing, they are still at negative for now.
Yeah, nongYing are just basically traveling through the passages, perhaps where they haven't really found themselves any form of value, but they have finally arrived, and here they are now stashing it quickly, 1.2 million off the bat.
They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly where to go. And like you mentioned before, the silo area is where everybody wants to be at. And they already got it as safe and as fast as they can. I'm not sure if Semina is actually focusing on the same area as where nongYing is at. We're going to have to wait and see if there's any contenders coming up very soon. Because I think ETS probably going to have the same idea here.
Oh yeah, but they're taking on opposite ends, so they should be able to at least stash up some save numbers before they bump into each other. As you can see, both sides are already equaling these numbers into 2 million off the bat without any form of battles. Now, when they do bump into each other, they definitely want to take some of these loots from each other as well. So gotta keep an eye out on what happens throughout the course of this missile silo area, where Sam9 has also joined in the party.
Like we mentioned before, Sam9 is always going to go for the radiation area, and Mission Silo is one of the biggest plays everybody wants to aim for. And the moment they open fire, it's definitely going to attract not just zombies at this point, it will attract also nongYing to come over to this place, and there goes Martin.
Yeah, and I guess like this is a very good approach to actually start things off, where I managed to take a look at the mini-map. There are 4 teams over onto that far western corner of the map where they could easily just collapse against each other. So these teams, they really got to keep their eyes out onto every section of the matchup. And now things are definitely going to get a little bit rowdier because the rest of MetroMini. They've been trying to avoid a lot of fights back in the Group A versus B matchup. Now versus Group C, they might be forced to face up against FaZe Clan, who is currently looking towards securing that school compound, but they're still on the outskirts. Of course, this is a very different look coming in from the side of FaZe Clan, where you have names like Sakura, and of course with Kim Tony in the mix as well. Now, I want to see if FaZe Clan are looking forward to back themselves a couple of early elimination points if they can find a clean way to do so. But for now, they can also lurk around and keep an eye out on all the other teams. And looking at the back, there's the Malaysian side of HLV that has been able to do a massive haul throughout the qualifiers to make it to this point. I want to see them eventually challenge.
Sam9 is doing the same run just like how they did in the first map. So I don't know if there's going to be any contenders so far. I'm going to have to wait and see for Sam9 because nongYing is one of the unpredictable teams about what they will think and what will they do. But I think this for the side of FaZe Clan, too close against HLV. Now they're going to have a glimpse on one of the boys here. I think Sakura have a glimpse on that, being shot down by whom? I don't know. It's going to be Alex fighting back, but it's 1-2-1 trade. And at least for the good sign of any of these teams, even if they're being knocked down, finished off, their loot on them right now, the value is not so much yet.
Yeah, I guess that's the only good thing that can actually get a reprieve from, but you really want to win out this trade right here before, things get even worse. They haven't even basically started that match entirely. HLV now has one member, or say two, being punctured through. Ate down on the ground as well. That's their main fragger coming from the side of HLV. While FaZe Clan, they're also closing in with Sakura pushing through alongside with Kim Tony. Sakura getting bombarded, but it's going to be Kim that will go in for the massive cleanup against HLV. And this is the wrath of FaZe Clan that they have to deal with. I think the only option for Fixed Bay is to just turn all the way out there just to keep themselves alive. Is there going to be any ways at all to even save Ate? Because it seems like there's not going to be a clear-cut answer. So HLV, they will try to play this out alone.
I don't know about Ate. I think it's done deal. Nobody can actually save him from bleeding out. But for Bay, I agree. It's best for him to just at least try to get, probably a couple more loots. But they are in negatives right now for HLV. It's pretty difficult for him to actually do the work by himself. But at least they won't go empty-handed for this round coming up from the side of HLV. But for Sam9, despite MetroMini is not actually taking part of any unusual fight. So we do see Sam9 actually spot a couple of bosses there. There you go. For Sam9, it's definitely the radiation zone they'll be aiming for. And they'll be going to staying there for quite a bit. And they're probably going to have some extraction point nearby as well. So try to make sure that nobody else can take this place away from them. Because trying to find another extraction point afterwards is going to be difficult for them since they're a bit far away from the rest of the surface area. For Sam9, they did this before. I think it's going to be a rinse and repeat for their playstyle for now. But look at what is happening. I think nongYing definitely is not happy with how they're being shut down early on. This is their revenge time, despite there's no boom, but at least they can take and vent out for their revenge against Sam9 possibly.
I like how you put it. Venting out is the way to go. But speaking of which, they're also being heavily punctured through in terms of the damage that they've been soaking, not only from the radiation, but also chip damages coming from nades of Sam9. Luyu really going on that heavy duty assault. Meanwhile, nongYing, they still have some members trying to actually scavenge throughout the course of this radiated field to play, but they gotta really focus onto where exactly the rest of the Sam9 members are, because they only know Loyu's coming on the outskirts. Now, Kinsiu, he's gonna go pretty close towards the side of MCR, and this is not gonna be any good news because Sam9's sandwiched in between.
but they're fighting zombies at the same time. Yeah, definitely giving away the position for the side of MCR. So for the side of 7-9, they know it's going to be more than one team they have to deal with. nongYing lost one of their members. That speaks for itself. They have last pocket to loot themselves up. But for Randrash, he's been knocked down. I'm not sure if any of his teammates can actually pick him up at this current moment. But back to the side of 7-9, they know exactly every nook and cranny of this one house right now. So they will take advantage of their knowledge. But at the same time, for nongYing, how do they respond to this? They have to fight against two teams at the same time. Like you mentioned before, they're being sandwiched. And there's only a couple of extraction points that's available for these teams. Time is a big factor here if somebody else already used that extraction point.
True enough, and at the very least, they still have about 12 minutes to work with. So they have to ensure that they back just about enough value of loot at the moment. And speaking of which, because of this circumstance as well as the current scenario, the side of MetroMini, they have been playing very safely. They still have some good value, almost 500,000 at the moment, or should I say 500,000 right now. MetroCeria, they heard all those noise throughout the entire course of the radiation zone. They say, you know what, maybe it's not worth it. Let's turn back. We've already got some good value from the edge of that radiation zone and just get out of here and loot elsewhere. So, of course, quick game tips as well. You can dash through swiftly when you have more members on that minecart. But here comes jump shots and everything else coming from the side of MetroMini to clean up some zombies, but they are taking heavy damage.
But for MCR, I'm loving the fact that I actually exit out, knowing the fact it's not worth it because there's only one extraction point, and even if they win the fight later on, they have to fight another team. So, you know what? We're just going to go find a different place to loot, and plus a different extraction point that's nearby for them to loot with, just for the sake of their safety, because time's ticking here with less than 11 minutes to go, and around 11 minutes to go. It's going to be difficult for them to just find another extraction point. It's quite a bit far from where Winehouse was before. But from nongYing side, they're not giving it up yet. While 7-9 do have the upper ground advantage, 7-9 just keep the pressure on side of nongYing, which left with 3 players, and they are in negatives right now. They barely got enough to actually loot up from Kenny on the other hand. I don't know how he see through those radiation smoke, but he did it anyhow.
Yeah, somehow he managed to get a glimpse of it, and here goes Molotovs, jumped right in, and this is where nongYing, they turn tails and run. It seems like there's not going to be all too much that it can deal with in terms of firepower at the moment, because nongYing have already lost a member crew, so they're definitely on course for an exit. But this is not going to be all too easy because 7-9, they definitely want to give chase. But perhaps this is also a very different plan where nongYing could also keep them away from the tunnels, and perhaps 7-9 might have to look for an alternative route to get their way around, unless if they can have an evacuation point inside the radiation zone. There's no other way out for them. But nongYing, you know what? It's not even worth it to actually stay around. But they do leave G9 all the way to the back. Oh boy.
Oh man, but G9 is not too far as well, so he's gonna be okay for now. Even though despite he's been betrayed by his own teammate just now, they left him to just walk by himself. But on the side of nongYing, they realized, hey, we're late into where 7-9 was at, so it's best for them to find a different objective and try to prioritize a different place entirely. But the problem is they already wasted so much time fighting against 7-9 before. They got themselves stuck in there with what time have left, then less than 10 minutes. Yeah, is it going to be enough for the side of nongYing to come back from their loss?
Yeah, this is a really tough question to actually answer, because what do they do with this 9 minutes will really dictate where they will finish up. And I guess like the problem with that fight that they took up against 7-9 was they were pretty scattered across the field. Oh, 7-9 is still dealing with a boss. They're spending even more time in the radiation zone, and they are looking to basically cash in the most value once again. 7-9 just knows how to play in this zombie uprising map so well.
Yep, but the problem is not so well since Lan's already on the ground bleeding out, so that's not going to be an easy boss. The next one, I mean, this is gonna be tough to watch if the entire crew being finished off with this one boss, but the very MP finally finished off by Loyu. And they're probably gonna have to deal with cleaning up of the zombies first before they pick up their teammates. So here comes Loyu, trying to help his mates here. But on the side of Semnon, at least is a clear compound for them to take this for themselves. And they are taking the lead again when it comes to the zombies uprising around this radiation area. There's nobody else to contend them except for the zombies, of course. But at least they got themselves some high value loot to take away by the end of the day.
Yeah, and you know, we were looking away from FaZe Clan for quite some time, and they've already got 7 elimination points. But 7-9, they were absolutely smart with it, right? Like, they didn't fully commit towards taking the boss like how, you know, the past 2 maps has been played out against A versus B. Now they want to make sure the coast is clear. Once nongYing is out of the equation, they have this entire radiation field to play for themselves. So they now will secure at least 2 million over points at the moment. Now, I want to know if they do escape safely though later on. But FaZe Clan, they are dominating the outskirts instead.
Oh, for nongYing, 7 minutes to go. Less than that after 5 more seconds. For us out of 7-9, if they find an extraction point, it's best for them to get it out. For HLV, I feel bad for the last player of HLV here right now, Bay. He's been chased. He's still being actually followed by the rest of FaZe Clan. I think Sakura will not willing to let him live by. And I think he's quite unsure. He has no clue he's being followed by these guys. Leave now, Bay, leave!
Oh, and he doesn't even have his chance at all. And now the rest of FaZe Clan will deal with the zombies later on. Perhaps there might just be a little loot over on the back of HLV, but Sakura thinks that maybe it doesn't even matter at all. Like, we've got just about enough points through the elimination and some of all these scattered loots all across the field. Perhaps that's worth more value because HLV didn't really have time to actually look for all these high value items. But now I guess like the race is on between FaZe Clan, MCR, as well as 7-9 to really reap most of the rewards, because with those 8 points acquired by FaZe Clan, I think they can match up against 7-9.
It depends, really. Right now, I'm looking at 7-9 probably trying to find himself an extraction point just to be safe and just to be clear. But I don't know if they will bump into nongYing. It feels like they're very close against each other. You know what? nongYing probably have the thought that, you know what, there's no extraction inside. So we might actually wait these guys out until they have to cross paths with us again. Martin, what a ninja.
Wow, this is so cheeky. He's just being so sneaky. He's looking for the final play. And he looks for 2. Oh, disaster strikes once more. And 7-9, they're getting ambushed from all directions. And this is payback time. This is where all falls down for 7-9. It's only down to Kenny left. And he's looking to go in for any safe refuge. But he's trading back against Gona. Here comes the Mantap to just burn them down.
You know what? They didn't get any of the loot that's high value enough for them, so they waited out for 7-9 to find an extraction point when they exit out. But that nade, will that bring them down? It's down to Kenny to actually do the call and do the play. But on the side of 7-9 and also nongYing, I think it's going to be a lose-lose situation here, because it seems like they will have not enough pockets to just reload what 7-9 actually have right now. But for Kenny, he needs to save as much as he can with what he has left. Almost 1 million worth of loot on his body right now. He needs to find a way out, but he's kind of stuck in the corner.
Yeah, he's got so little health left. And remember, there's 4 more minutes left. Both teams have to get into an evacuation point. The longer they fight, both of them might not even make it out with any points at all. They got to take a look at the timer. And now, it seems like both of them are just being stuck in this corner. They don't want to let the other live. But Kenny, I guess this is the last-ditch effort. He's only got 700,000, and keep in mind, 7-9, they got the least amount of eliminations as compared to FaZe Clan. FaZe Clan, They are happy to actually fight off, or should I say nongYing at the moment. So this is where we'll have to see 3 minutes. Can they get out of this match alive?
Personally, I feel like they don't. Probably both teams won't actually extract out and have nothing by the end of the day. Except for those eliminations of points. As for the side of nongYing, at least they have the upper hand there. But if nongYing managed to finish off another player of them 9, it's done deal. But at the same time, you know what? They realize, hey, the time's not on our side. They need to get out. Get out now. I don't know how much they managed to get the loot from the players that actually been finished off just now from the 9's pockets. So hopefully they have enough to just push the numbers up. But for FaZe, they got themselves the attraction point. So all they need to do is just stand guard and try to get last minute loot as much as they can. All the players are guarding over the extraction point right now for FaZe Clan. If only they know they actually don't have to worry that much anymore, because the rest of the team that have higher value of loot just now being finished off early, it definitely stands at number 1.
Yeah, remember when we talked about fortune favors the greedy right now? Like, FaZe Clan, they didn't seem like they had the greediest of them all. It was really between nongYing as well as 9. 9, they got everything. But nongYing, they understand. They don't really have those loots from the get-go. So the only way out is to take out another team. And they managed to actually set a perfect trap right over onto the underground tunnels and find a huge margin. I say huge just because, you know, that they could have actually walked out with 0 points at all. But now, even MCR, they're dealing with a boss, and there's not much time. This is the evacuation zone. They need to clear the boss before they get out.
Kenny got an extraction point. But on the side of MCR, if only all 3 of them work out together for the final boss, that will be really great for their loot value. And not just that, they can finish it on time. But for Kenny, he's just going to go in and take a bit of an energy drink just in case being tailed by the others and the rest of them. For the side of nongYing, they found themselves the extraction point, but it's probably going to be less than a minute to go. But they need to finish off this boss. It's impossible for them to extract out if they keep on being hit by this boss here right now. Just finish it off. Finish it off in less than a minute. 50 seconds to go. And this is it. This is the time for MCR. Can they get out?
They got 400k. This is good enough for them to overtake 9, MetroMinis as well as HLV. But can they do it though? It's not going to be safe, but they will be getting trouble. It's just standing on top of the evacuation zone. Oh, this is not going well for them. 30 seconds or so. They need to hit it. This is not the way to go.
No, he got knocked down as well. They should have worked together to finish off the boss first. And speaking of timing, what are the odds for MCR? Oh my god, they lost a man in that process. And it's impossible for the rest of MCR to get out. It's 8 seconds to go and it's done deal. There's no way out for them. The boss is too much. And they need to pick each other up. And that's just it. Time's finished. MCR did not make it out due to the boss that stops them from happening.
That's just so painful to watch. I almost want to shed tear for these guys. The timing was just so unfortunate. Aichan is still in this match running from the boss. He's got to get out of here. Oh, come on. Leave these guys alone, zombies. Like, they've already had too tough a time. I don't know what else to say. Oh, boy.
Oh, the zombie swarming over Aichan. And the boss not giving up. So persistent of this boss. It's a slow death here right now. It's difficult for him to deal this by himself. And the worst case scenario, the time's already over.
It's almost comedic. It's almost comedic. Wait, where's the evacuation point? It's gone.
It's already gone.
And the boss is back.
Oh.
Okay. Can we get to another evacuation zone, Aichan? I guess he'll just wait to be taken out.
There you go. That was a tough one to watch for MCR. I think they should have actually planned that one. It's actually doable. personally, I feel like basically all they need to do is just work things out as a trio they have loved just now, work in a triangle mode, eliminate the boss. They got it clear for the extraction point, but the rest of the other teammates was a bit too far from Aichan, who trying to fight the boss head on just now. You cannot do it solo-handedly. But for the side of FaZe, I mean, they definitely played safe. I think that's going to be the uprising, a zombie uprising. Best tactic will be less greedy, will be the solution for this one.
Yeah, perhaps that's going to be the case where I won't really put the label safe on top of FaZe Clan altogether, because they got like, what, 7 elimination points as well. They were just making sure that nobody gets into, you know, the high loot area if they're going to be late. So they loot on the outskirts, they clear anybody else, but they will understand, like, 7-9, they love those kind of area of play, and they also will have to deal with nongYing later. So let these big guys take each other out, right? And yes, it was just heartbreaking for some of these guys like 7-9 to have taken so much value, and for that to be stolen away from that crazy setup that we saw coming from the side of nongYing. And that execution, that big brain play was just next level from the Thai guys.
I mean, coming up from nongYing, I feel there's a revenge coming up from that storyline, right? I feel like they definitely won the Winehouse early on and couldn't get it since 7-9 definitely already aimed for that spot since the start. They go straight into the undertunnel area and just go straight to Winehouse and just loot it up and got there first. On the side of nongYing, they want to get there across towards the Winehouse, but took their time by looting up whatever they can actually go and have for. And you know what, the moment that they realize, you know, we don't have any choice other than no time to go in for the loot, and we do know there's no extraction point inside of the Winehouse early on, so they just wait it out, because like it or not, it's going to be a one-way exit only from that point forward. So if we can't go and get something big, you will go down with us as well. That's the case for the side of nongYing.
Yeah, and I'm just really glad that both of these teams at least have been able to bring some Metro points back by the end of the run, because from the qualifier rounds, I've seen teams battle until the point where they forgot about getting into evacuation zone. So, of course, everybody has been able to at least keep track of time, and by then, it was only one member left. It was Kenny for the side of 7-9. So
yeah,
it wasn't much points that they've been able to acquire. If they had all 4 members, I'm pretty sure that they'll be happily walking out of that one. But nongYing says, nope, only one guy makes it out alive. And they managed to at least tax out some of these guys in return. So FaZe Clan, they're happy enough because like they take no part in that. They don't lose any form of value. They walk out with those maximum points close to 3 million, or even maybe worse as we tabulate some of the points alongside with those eliminations that they acquire. Now, you know, compared to our usual Battle Royale, things were so much simpler to calculate. This is by the millions as well as 100,000. So me and Circa has been joking like, okay, I guess Contra, you can count to 1, right? Or well, how much can you count to? So I guess like we give the production a little bit of time to at least sort these numbers out before we even get there. But what a game that was.
Yeah, I mean, the number is definitely a problem for us. Because plus you have to add into the account that the sum of the players being eliminated early, so that's going to be 300,000 into the back. But if you compare with what they actually can get without killing any players, it's going to be more value than actually go for the players. But before we wait for the total numbers going up of how much loot they managed to value themselves in, we're going to go and have a glimpse about what's happening here for you guys too. Don't forget to get yourself a level 5. The airdrop Carnival Pirate Patch already available for you guys, so make sure you take your time to just find it yourself. And after you upgrade your airdrop crate to level 5, that's a guaranteed set or even emote of your choice. So don't forget to jump into the game from August 16 to 18 to open your airdrop crate.
That's right. You only have today as well as tomorrow to get your airdrop crate and have a great day. Meanwhile, of course, we also do have the Galadria X-Suit and Advanced Upgradable MG3 available for you to claim. But of course, you have to join the event and unlock coupons and limited outfits from today all the way to the 30th of September. So make sure you invite your friends to play a whole lot of PUBG Mobile. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the match ranking so far. First, it's been pretty heartbreaking for teams like MetroCeria that didn't manage to escape because of the final boss that's blocking their way. FaZe Clan has a stellar run. That's 5 million, the highest record we've seen so far for today here in the Zombie Uprising.
That's kind of true. FaZe Clan, I think they decided right. Sam9, it seems like their plan has been breached by nongYing. I feel like nongYing will be the most troublesome team across this group right now. And unfortunately for Sam9, they are showing the same group as nongYing for now. Now, the Fortune's chosen one this time is going to be Sui Boy. And over 1 million for himself. We do know when it comes to Zombie Uprising, the numbers won't be as much as Arctic Base. But for Zombie Uprising, it's so crucial that you don't get disturbed by any of the other teams.
Yeah, and now that you pointed that out as well, like in comparison to, you know, the loot sizes as well as what's really available, I'm still really impressed by FaZe Clan to be able to pull off more than that 5 million in terms of numbers in order to book out. And also a big part of the added value was also from their elimination points from that early game scuffle that they had on the outskirts against HLV to all the other squads out there. So they've been able to really reap those rewards without really overcommitting into eyeing out for those high value loots. So let's take a look at how FaZe Clan has been able to execute their perfect plan from the get-go.
Now, if you look at how Sam9, MCR,
oh boy,
they got out. They got out, but they cannot extract out of the map. That's the only reason why they didn't actually get any points. For sort of FaZe Clan, they're just playing around the shoreline. That's pretty much straightforward. I think that's actually a good way to actually play this game. But for Sam9 and also the side of nongYing, well, they bit more than they can chew at a point.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And now that you pointed it out as well, I mean, the side of MetroCeria, they look like they could have actually gotten so much more out of that. Like, if they did manage to take out that boss, maybe they would walk away with so much more. But here are our overall ranking as we compare all the groups all together. Boom Esports still at #1, but we'll see how long will that last out for. nongYing as well as ESTIR Strong will remain to be in the top 3. As we take a look into the other page there, we still have Prime Team over on 7. We'll see changes coming into effect later when we move into our Arctic base matchup. So MetroCeria as well as HLV, they haven't really gotten into the thick of the matchup. HLV got taken out for most part with that one member remaining to deal with the rest of FaZe Clan. I guess there's still chances here, just like how ESTIR Strong has been able to pull off an amazing highs to hold on to that #2 spot. So we shall see in the moment, Juju, on how much value can they gain in this Arctic base, because we see even Boom, with that one round of play, has been holding on to that #1 spot up till now.
It's all down to Silos area just now, if they can actually go for it early or not. We know that's going to happen. And that's going to be the prime spot for most of the teams. And we've seen if all the teams happen to have the same sort of mindset, now that's going to be really tough to watch. Especially on the side of nongYing, this is redemption time. They should actually get there as early as they can. Or if they had enough of fighting people and just going to resort to zombies, I think that's probably going to be the best case scenario for them as well, because they're being pushed down slowly. And this is not great when it comes to the numbers in the overall rankings.
That's right. And, you know, like, for what really went down for the side of Sam9, I'm pretty sure that they'll be extremely cautious moving into this matchup, where they have always thought that, hey, these radiation zone areas, so long as we push these teams aside, we're going to be safe, right? Well, apparently that wasn't the case at all. So now that they have expected nongYing to be this cheeky, as well as how stealthy they were, we even saw Martin was hiding into a place that's so dark in the corner that nobody has been able to actually spot where exactly he's hiding. Like, now I'm pretty sure Seb9, they will check 360. If it's hiding behind a cupboard, they will just flip that cupboard open. So this is going to be pretty interesting on how Arctic Base is going to play out.
So much work to do for the teams. Not just checking the corners to check out for other players. They have to check for zombies. They have to check for extraction points. They have to figure out how to exit out in times ticking at the same time, and hopefully no spawn of zombies bosses in the last minute like how MTR did. And that was it was painful to watch. They tried.
Yeah, they really tried their hardest to at least clear the boss, but maybe that's also because they were panicking, like, oh, we don't have time, we gotta do it. Like, for you to clear off that boss, you gotta look for their weakness points as well, like to clear it as quickly as you can. But that boss apparently seemed like he had no weakness at all. He's been swinging for I don't know, at least a good 2 to 3 minutes, and perhaps
they didn't deal with the boss early. That's the thing.
Yeah.
They left only one player to deal with the boss. They should have worked together to deal with the boss early on to make sure, whatever the case is. I think the best case scenario in that situation, make sure your extraction points, once you found it, guard it for the next couple of minutes. Make sure it's clear from anything.
Yeah, I think that is definitely the most important part of it all. And, well, you know, Chichi, when we were taking a look at that recap, like, they did a really good job avoiding some of all these fights in the radiation zone. But when they moved into that Pow Pound, they also managed to dodge FaZe Clan. So that's 2 great work being done. They now just have to ensure they walk out of this match pretty much alive and evacuated. But here we go into the Arctic Base advanced mode as we take a perfect view over on the peak, as we will have all the teams spawn into separate locations. Seb9, what will their take be this time around, as they will be the furthest over onto the western end? A lot of clear passage, but keep in mind, everybody wants a piece of the pie in Missile Silo.
I think Seb9 probably just gonna go and find the underground tunnel and straight into Missile Silo, because that's where they're heading into. Going straight to it, the underground tunnel. But MCR, FaZe, give them a break. I feel bad for MCR in their last round. Now, I do want them to have something for this round as well.
Yeah, me too. I mean, at least leave one player behind for them to catch out something in return, because they shouldn't have gone out like that. Not without any form of loot, because they just couldn't evacuate in time. Now, FaZe Clan, in traditional fashion, they love to go in for that all-out trade. But can MetroCeria outlast this battle? We'll have to see, because Jajame is taking the top end of this hill, getting a very good bird's eye view of what could actually happen throughout the course of this battle. Dates are now being prepared. Jajame has also been pretty much reached out from the side of Andre Shin. And here we go. First one down. It's going to be Havis already out of match.
FaZe, MCR greeted Sakura right in the face, but that's going to be a jump shot finish of one player. MCR, I think that's going to be a bit of tilted moment for them after being bunked by the balls just now. Now they have to face the wrath of FaZe way early on. MCR definitely devastated with their performance. Yeah, trying to find a way out. I mean, you got your Eagle Buddy there, but your Eagle Buddy can't do a thing for the team right now. And for, Moms or the MetroMini, I love their mindset, man. They're the most happy-go-lucky team. Like, yeah, we're gonna have a la shopping day and find whatever we can find around this area and shopping and just exit out. They're the type of team that nobody gave notice or give priority on. But we do have Missile Silo at the center. Now, there's so many teams eyeing out about that area right now. I don't know how many teams already arrived there.
Yeah, that's what we really want to find out, but I believe that we'll see Sam9 as well as nongYing, which is currently on our screen, looking for another battle against each other. Now, Sam9, perhaps they have had a clue on how to approach this very differently because they used to be stuck towards that corner of what I call the tier, where that's usually where the boss will spawn up. So Sam9, they're getting a split approach to try to also seek out the course of the area of play. And the last time we saw this happen, nongYing was the one taking the middle and eventually was taken out by Boom Esports. Now that Boom Esports is not in this matchup at all, Sam9, they're definitely plotting a very huge plot against those who are indoors.
But the problem is, I can feel the HLV is approaching as well. We're gonna have to wait and see how long HLV will actually take their time, because it feels like a deja vu, like what really happened Sam9 versus nongYing in the previous map and in the second map of the day, because HLV is definitely approaching here, possibly the same rotation as well. But hey, FaZe Clan is here too. Why not? I don't know how many extraction points. I haven't seen one in here yet. So they have to put that into consideration too. 16 minutes on the clock. They have to consider how to exit out safely as well. There's one extraction point there. Only one inside of Missile Silo right now, possibly. And there's going to be 3 teams. It's not going to be enough for all of them to exit out too.
Yeah, it's also a little too early. Teams definitely want a big chunk before they go out. Meanwhile, G9 soaking some damage coming from Kenny that's sending those grenades through. FaZe Clan, they're a little bit of a touching distance away. So Sam9, if they're not careful enough, they might just actually be backstabbed because they're currently in a very open area. Meanwhile, a little bit of scatter coming from the side of nongYing as they are taking some flank side as well to keep an eye out for the side of Sam9. HLV still pretty much on that underground passage. Maybe they're looking for a very different approach where what we saw coming from nongYing was to go in for a tunnel setup to try to catch teams off guard. But it's going to take a while if they're going to do so. So Sam9, they are now on their approach. Believe they will swarm in with all these 3 members. So keep an eye out on what they are doing right at this very moment, because they are currently funneling the rest of FaZe Clan into a very tight space. And FaZe Clan, how much can they actually get from this corner alone?
For Sam9, right now the earnings are around 3 million. Same goes for nongYing. I think they go call in for a truce right now, but the moment they open fire, this is going to attract unwanted attention, not just the zombies, but the players as well. I don't know if the rest of the other team, like even FaZe, want to be in here, but probably they will. But the problem is now Contra to exit out. Extraction point won't be enough for everybody to get out from this map. That's one problem. And going out from Missile Silo, there's going to be probably a couple of entrances and a couple of entries, but it won't be easy as well. There might be gatekeeping the teams from going out, just like how we saw nongYing actually played that one out before.
True enough. Meanwhile, we already have some casualties on the outskirts, and this is by the soldiers that has taken down
Commando.
I hope that Renata will be able to stay alive because there's a giant barrier on the wall. He's slowly getting chipped down. This is not the way to go.
Tell your lion to fight. What's your lion for? He's just watching you to die. Hey, Fiki, can he actually reach it in time? Yeah, he actually does. That one useless lion is just good for nothing now, isn't it?
It's a very tame lion, I gotta say that. Like, it's domesticated. That's something that we don't always see all the time. But thankfully, though, that player coming in from the side of MetroMini will be able to live for another day. While, of course, a boss takedown comes from the side of nongYing, and also a member out from the side of Sam9. Sam9 down to 3. Still a sizable number for a squad strength to fight off against nongYing. I believe that these back and forth has actually resulted in nongYing to also lose one. I could be wrong. Just judging from the map that we are looking at right now, nongYing only has like 3 members at the moment. So, of course, it's still going to be tough to get out of this radiation zone of missile silo alive. And even when you mentioned that there is an evacuation spot, do you really want to do it here in a danger zone? That is the biggest question.
At the same time, he's trying to just take care of the evacuation point, extraction point there, where they're just hovering around as a team down. But for Sam9, the problem is nongYing wants the same extraction point as well. Here comes Sam9 and regroup themselves. They lost Kenny along the process. And it's still not going to have enough. If you compare with FaZe Clan, FaZe Clan have a lot. Now, I hope they can actually exit out safely. But on the side of MetroMini, they've been playing it safe. They're the type of peacekeeper teams, but you know, not the same case for MCR. MCR venting out their frustration in last round, I assume, in this one.
Oh boy, and all that has been backed by the side of MetroMinis are now pretty much scattered on the ground for MCR to take what has been earned, but there is still Winata. Of course, the line didn't really help. Now he has to do it all alone against these 2 players on the side of MCR. If he takes both of them down, he will salvage what was lost. But can Winata back it all the way home? This is where we will find out. 2 versus 1, and currently only 200,000 in the back for Winata. Has to make good value of this fight.
For the side of MetroMini, they're actually at a big loss. They didn't get any eliminations from against MCR just now. So I guess on the side of Winata, he just want to avoid completely the fight and slowly trying to go find another way out. 10 minutes on the clock here. It's not impossible to find himself in a way out. I'm not sure where his teammates are. Yeah, all we can see coming up from MetroMini is just Winata right now.
Yeah, it seems like Winata is the only one left because of the aggression being displayed by the side of MCR.
They have one more.
But where could that person be? It seems like it's pretty much scattered way off of where the current field of Arsenal is. But at least for MCR, this is the only good thing that has happened throughout the course of the round. Remember what happened in the past matchup where they couldn't extract out in time, and now at least they find themselves some good value with about close to $1 million earning by just taking down those players of Metro.
Just leave Winata. I think it's not worth it since he's going this by himself, and I don't see Chase anywhere. So Winata, I think it's best for him to just go for loot as much as he can, but he couldn't deal with big bosses by himself as well. We saw that happen just now. The lion didn't actually help. That's one useless lion. Might as well get a cat at this point. It is a type of a cat, but a smaller version of a cat would be more helpful in this case. But for Winata, he's eyeing out towards the rest of MCR players just in case they try to tell him through. For MCR, now all they need to do is find an extraction point first and then try to see around the extraction point if there's any valuable loot they can actually get as a finishing. Because right now their pockets are very limited down to only 2 players. But for Cheese, he found himself the black door, but did he actually know the password for this?
He's trying to crack the code at the moment. I guess it's definitely going to take a while. And he's the only one that's currently waiting around that radiation zone. So a very good split plan coming from the players of MetroMini, whereas FaZe Clan is already looking for an exit. Meanwhile, Lamteezy coming from the outskirts, looking for even more. Who's he really hoping to catch out? We'll have to find out in a short bit. And it seems like they're not done with nongYing just yet. They have made an early exit and now are hoping to entrap some of these guys from even getting into that extraction zone. Plenty of smokes now pop from the side of Goddard, hoping to make it out alive. But take a look at where Luyu is at that high point, just peppering them down with some damage done.
For Sam 9, They want the extraction point. They want it for themselves. So they will try to shush away the rest of nongYing players, which going to be 3 of them still left. Same goes for the side of 7-9. Pretty much equal out the odds. They don't want to go and find another extraction point. It's wasting their time here. For Ken, problem is 7-9 have to go against. I feel like they are arch nemesis between these 2 teams right now. nongYing and 7-9, they're having a go against each other in every single map since the start. But for FaZe Clan, HLV will be their next target. Yeah, if they want to take the green spot that we can actually see across the map, that green smoke is a good news for the teams that are nearby. The problem is, first, it's going to be another team trying to take the extraction point away from you. Second, probably gonna be some bosses laying around and suddenly just spawns out of nowhere. So for FaZe Clan, they have to deal at least with one problem or the other, which gonna be first and foremost at the other side of the team, which gonna be HLV right now.
Yeah, HLV definitely has a very interesting setup on the outskirts with a wide spread at the moment. HLV having 2.5 million. They also want to keep what's theirs. But now pressure onto Luyu. Grenades are now being tossed towards his direction. There is an extraction point being contested right now. 6 minutes left. I guess that there are other alternatives that they could actually go for, but this is going to be all it or nothing. And here comes the rest of FaZe Clan. They go in for the full ambush against HLV while they're trading equipments on the ground. This is not looking good, but here comes James Boy trying to go in toe-to-toe against Sakura, but Sakura won't be able to pin him down. Only 1 member left for the side of HLV, and it's down to Ate.
Both teams, 4 teams in contention for their extraction point here right now. As FaZe Clan winning over the side of HLV, leaving with only 1 player of HLV running away from the extraction point. Have to give it up to FaZe Clan. FaZe Clan seems like they have good run both maps for now, but for 7-9, they're not done against a nongYing as well. So it's going to be another point of contention. There's 2 extraction points. They can actually go for the other one in case things didn't work out for them. It's not that too far off either. It's visible for both extraction points right now.
I believe that they're way too greedy with this one, knowing that there's still 5 more minutes on the clock. But when they drop, that's where they will regret their decision. For now, they will just completely commit into this battle. Ate is just by the edge of the extraction zone. I believe that he's going to book out. Yes, they will be able to survive, but it's only 1 member out of HLV that makes the cut. So I wonder how much value does Ate bring back to the team. No elimination points, but whatever they've got, they got to just grin that, hey, at least we managed to survive the run. You know, MCR, they only have 2 more members left. Same goes to nongYing. Because of those heavy firepower coming in from FaZe Clan, from 7-9. And what's Ghana doing here? You know, we've seen the Lion this time with a Leopard camping out. Maybe he's just hoping that there is another team to cut through, but
no,
probably not. All these teams are fighting on the outskirts.
Yeah, for the side of 7-9, and they're not done with it. They're not done with their skirmish. They're not done. Like you mentioned, they're over greedy trying to take down another teams here. And at least good news for both teams, despite we only have less than 4 minutes going on, 3 minutes on the clock here right now. Both teams have nearby extraction points, but I don't know about Ken. I mean, he got not much of a value on him. That's why he's aiming for the teams. He's the one actually going for the fragging, while the rest of 7-9, probably Luyu, will be aiming for the loot. Now, he's going to be the loot guy with so much value on top of him right now. That's why he's close towards the extraction points. But they need all players to extract out if that's the case. Now I feel like what 7-9 is planning here, they're gonna leave everything to Luyu for him to extract out. If 2 of these players out, then at least they still get some value out of this round. But for 7-9, they really want to obliterate nongYing, whatever the cause is right now. And if they can actually finish off the remaining players of nongYing, they can just steal away their loot as well, and even got double what they offer. It's all or nothing. It's go big or go home for 7-9 here, what they aim for.
Yeah, and it's really forcing nongYing to just turtle in. And keep in mind as well, once a team uses that extraction point and they have booked out that match, the extraction point is going to be gone And take a look at this. MCR, they're keeping tabs onto FaZe Clan. Is this going to be a full strike being sent their way? But there's only 2 members from the side of MCR. MetroCeria, if they can find a perfect time to strike, they might be able to actually walk out with some huge points out here. Are they going to do it, though? Because FaZe Clan, they're about to move out of this matchup if they don't do so. Now, shots have been fired, but it's not going to catch on to any of these members at all. Sakura already out of the match. And they make it out in time. FaZe Clan with 7.7 million.
There you go. For the side of Lou, he extracted himself out. He's got himself 3 million, but timers count down to less than 2 minutes right now. And I love the fact that the side of FaZe Clan, how they actually use the extraction point right now, just now, was pretty smart. They know somebody's watching, and IMC are taking the same extraction point like how FaZe Clan did just now and just gonna exit out, knowing the fact that, you know, FaZe Clan already out themselves from the map, already jumped out and booted out. But on the side of Sam 9, they're still trying to go for nongYing. Now they're waiting for the players to come out, and he's holding his gun. He knows there's someone else. They want to finish off nongYing. This is super greedy coming up from Sam 9. But for Ken, he's playing the patience game. But the problem is time's ticking. They need all players to exit out. Can he actually finish the play and exit out in less than a minute now? He got one. There's another player remaining. They need to boot themselves out. Ken, he got himself some value out of this, but it's not going to be enough. But at least they secured those over 2 million by Loyus booted himself out from the extraction point. Now, at the same time, they want to obliterate nongYing entirely and not giving them any extraction at all.
And they also have to get out of this area by themselves. 7-9, they pick one off, but Gotta didn't really have loot on top of it. It's actually SOZip with that 1.6 million. And this is where this lockdown scenario is not going to favor either side of the team. 30 seconds left. Latizi, as well as the other member of 7-9, they got to get out as well to make it worth their while. That's the 2.7 mil might deduce into 0 if they don't do so right now, as SOZip is the one in control. But even so,
50
he's the final member.
10 seconds. They need to get out. They need to exit out. If not, everything low you're actually fighting for, it's going to be 0 for them still. Nope, never mind. There's no more time and it's done deal. Both team nongYing and Sam9 did not get anything out of this run, and good luck fighting to the very end. I mean, like, it's 1v1 now. It's back to mano to mano. Back to Battle Royale at the end of the day between these two teams. Things got really personal between nongYing and Sam9.
Oh, you just can't take out the competitive spirit from these pro players, or some may say ex-pro players as well. While they fight their way out, the game is already over, ladies and gents. And taking a look at this, it's just these two players left, but the numbers that they've acquired, unfortunately, will not be counted because of this scenario. They need to keep in mind that taking these late fights, they got to time themselves as well. And just because of this, it's going to be FaZe Clan that will be the biggest winner of them all.
It's all about 1v1 between these two teams. Like I said, this is gone way personal between Sam9 and nongYing. I'm not surprised the next time we have these two teams fighting each other again. Fortunate enough for us, they are in the same group, Group A. So Sam9 and nongYing, good luck fighting against each other the entirety of this tournament later on. But when it comes to the week number 1, we have this last rotation of A versus C. Next is going to be C versus D. Now all we wait right now is between these two teams who will go down, but we definitely know both teams will go down with a 0.
Yeah, you know why it's really awkward coming from Lantizi? Because he's got no more smoke grenades to cover himself. And I believe perhaps he actually found one through some of the crates that's lying around. I think that SOZip knows where exactly he's at. He's going for that push, and we have come to a close. 1v1, who's it going to be? Is it going to be nongYing or Sam9?
Fighting for their pride right now, definitely. Who's the bigger alpha between these two players? Here comes Lanzi jumping over, but it's still going to be SOZip. And yeah, he got the loot, but there's no more value out of this, I guess. And just straight into the extraction point, and we're done for the map round. For next one, we're gonna head back to it, Zombie Uprising, which is gonna be more frantic than Arctic Base usually, but yep, Zip. I mean, it's okay for you not to smoke. There's nobody else around you, so just go in. And if there's another boss spawn out of nowhere here now, that's going to be comical.
Yeah, I mean, might as well spawn it just to close up the game as well, because it's taking a little too long for them. Unfortunately, nongYing as well as 7-9, you see these big numbers out there. It's probably going to bring it down to all the way into 0. But FaZe Clan, they cash in with that massive chunk of 7.7 million. And once more, FaZe Clan just have a solid game plan to ensure that they keep themselves safe and alive and be the biggest winners throughout the group.
Now, if you guys just a first timer here in Metro Royale, to put it in a simple way, it's like a panic room, okay? So you are in a panic room, you have to find yourself an exit out, but you cannot just go back empty-handed. You have to sort things out, you have to find some looting to make sure that you can cash out as much as possible before you exit out of the map. But the problem is, things will not be as straightforward as it is, because there will be you versus the other players, you versus the random spawn of bosses sometimes. But good news for them, if they can actually take down player, that's going to be each player at the cost of 300,000 value, and the big boss will drop a bigger value than the players sometimes. So for me, I'm probably going to focus on the big boss instead of the players. Like how Sam9 and nongYing actually play, both team won't win at this point.
Yeah, they really gotta settle this sort of dispute. Like, maybe heading into the 12-minute mark, this is where they just gotta say, okay, guys, I know you want your points, I want mine too. Just get out of each other's side. And no, it seems like they just want to just keep brawling and brawling because they were just unhappy with the outcome between that A versus B matchup. Even now, A versus C, they carry on forward. So for how long more will we see this? Well, we got another week of group stage to play out. So I guess only time will tell what will be the team with the last laugh. But right now, FaZe Clan enjoying their glorious moment throughout the course of the battle. Like their game plan was quite solid where, they go in for those early pickoffs. Once they're done, it's like, okay, guys, we got this 1.2 mil, or we got this 2 mil. Let's go ahead and go for a lot of shopping around these areas where maybe other people won't challenge them. And things have been very effective for this FaZe Clan. So I think this is one of the way to balance out aggression as well as high value looting.
But speaking of which, right, FaZe Clan, yes, I agree, they have very great run. 2 maps in a row, they got themselves first place, but will be enough to overtake Boom Esports, because Boom Esports, the last time we saw them, they're at 12 million total loot value by the end of the day, and that was only within 2 maps. They only played 2 maps here today compared to Group A and Group C. They played a total of 4 maps already. Now, for Group C, they have 2 more maps to go. They just finished off with 2 maps. But when it comes to the recent map just now, which was the Arctic Base, we had number 1 FaZe Clan once more. I think this is more than enough for them to overtake Boom by now.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, because they did manage to also put a lot of points back in Zombie Uprising. Now in the Arctic Base, they bring in pretty much an equal amount to even match up against some of all these members of Boom Esports, though it wasn't exactly the round with 11 million, but 9.5 is still a staggering number. MetroCeria is going to be finishing up on second. Interesting enough on how the tides have absolutely turned. 7-9 as well as nongYing, they don't get any points because they did manage to get out of the matchup, but HLV also closing into 1 million as well. So MetroCeria has definitely found themselves a lifeline through day 1.
Now, FaZe, Sui Boy, I think this is going to be the one player that they put all the responsibility to get the loot up, which is going to be on side of Sam9, which was low loot back then. But it's kind of rare sight for the looter to go for the player elimination as well. That's going to be another extra 300,000 1,000 bonus worth of loot value into the pockets of Sui Boy for the start of FaZe Clan. Now, on the side of roles, right, I think it's safe for us to say 2 players probably going to be put into the role and responsible for the fragging, including the bosses, or even try to scout out for any zombies nearby to make sure it's a clear path for the looters. Another 2 player for the team to do their job, because that's always going to be the case for each of the team here.
True enough. Like, you usually will segregate all these form of roles, and maybe they should not also put all the eggs in one basket. They might want to spread it to at least 2 players, because if a player like Sui Boy gets caught out, that's majority of all of your Metro cash being gone in an instant. But it was interesting when we take a look at how the fights have actually panned out. FaZe Clan as well as 7-9, they were taking 2 different battles on each respective corner map. But 7-9 as well as nongYing, they absolutely took way too long to actually conclude it, which resulted in both 7-9 as well as nongYing not even getting any form of points, though SOZip does manage to get that last laugh. Now, as we take a close look into the winners of our 4 matches played out, FaZe Clan back-to-back wins, and 7-9 as well as Boom has been able to get it from that A versus B matchup. This will conclude A versus C, so we're moving into a completely different group with C as well as D to play out. So we still see FaZe Clan, but this time they'll be joined with names such as Team Mantap, Arkong, as well as Fellas Indonesia.
I think we're probably going to have a bit of a bit more peaceful run this time, because we don't have 7-9 and nongYing anymore. I'm looking for Boom in the future, of course, when it comes to the following weeks. But for Group C, at least we can get to see a better gameplay throughout the entirety of Metro Royale. But we're gonna hit the break before we head into Group C versus D. Don't go anywhere, because there's more action live in Metro Royale after this.
And welcome back once again to the Metro Royale edition of the PMSL Southeast Asia. It's Choo as well as Contra to accompany you throughout this course of fantastic battles as well as exhilarating action that we do have in both maps of Metro Royale. And here we are to take a look at Group C versus Group D. But Choo, I think we've got a lot of different sort of offering throughout the course of these battles.
There's so many ways to actually play this game, guys. Not gonna joke about that, because whether you want to go and safely just loot up, but the problem is gonna be, the biggest problem is gonna be the extraction point, really, to get out. Like I mentioned before, Metro Royale is like you in a panic room. How to get out from there is another question, but how to get the most loot and get out safely is a different thing entirely. And that managed to pull off by FaZe Clan, the overtaken Boom Esports. Now, Boom Esports, they only played 2 maps here today. Same goes for the side of FaZe Clan, but FaZe Clan, they get to play another 2 after this as well.
True enough, and FaZe Clan might just be able to just really top the entire leaderboards. But of course, with some of these teams to be able to play some of the matches tomorrow, fret not, as some of your favorite teams might be able to catch up. And of course, we have 2 weeks time for them to make it into the grand finals, where only 16 will be able to make the cut. Right now, at the moment, we have not really seen Team Mantap, Arkong, as well as FaZe ID to be playing just yet, but here they will be challenging even names like FaZe Clan. But before, of course, we get into the thick of the battle, of course, we want to remind you of all the happenings that there is in PUBG Mobile, starting off with the PUBG Mobile Airdrop Carnival that's currently open, where you can take part in the Pirates Bash and explore the Ocean Odyssey new team area, Pirates Booty Island, collect airdrop tokens, and head to the airdrop carnival in-game event and of course, gain the airdrop crate to level 5 for a guaranteed set or emote of your choice, and also get daily rating protection for 2 matches. So don't forget to jump in the game from August 16th to 18th to open your crate and have a great day.
And don't forget your Galadriel Axe suit, plus the advanced upgradable MG3 is now available. Join the event and unlock coupons and limited outfits award from 6th of August to 13th of August. So make sure you tune in and get your new axe suit, which is available for you guys. Now that's gonna be my ads voice. So just giving the ads for you guys as well. But we're done with the formalities aside. Don't forget that you guys are watching the Metro Royale, a different version of PUBG Mobile entirely, and we're loving it. You know, this reminds me of the movie I Am Legend. You guys definitely have to watch that movie. If you haven't yet, I don't know about Contra. Have you watched it?
Yeah, I believe that it's been out for many years already. But, you know, I have very vague memories, but, you know, it's really about survival and going through some really tough times. But of course, they could possibly get some tips coming in from Will Smith or so on how to really deal with these situations. But taking a look at certain teams, like some of these guys, they love hanging into the apocalypse zones for a little far too long. I hope that Group D, they don't commit the same mistakes as well, where, you know, nongYing, they haven't settled the score, but tomorrow, I believe we'll see them go about it again.
Just hope we didn't say it too early for that one. As per usual, it's always going to be the underground tunnel will be the main mission for most of the teams here, when in this case, it's going to be the mines warehouse. So keep your eye out if there's any other teams that's focusing on radiation plays. So when it comes to Zombie Uprising, let's go for our last round of the day.
Here we go. It's Group C versus Group D, where we are introducing all the groups once again that are participating. We have FaZe Clan, MetroCeria, as well as HLV. Meanwhile, in Group D, it's Team Mantap, Arkong, as well as FaZe ID, who's playing their very first match of the evening. And then, you know what? I wish that we actually have this as a tradition to always kick off all these Metro Royale clashes before we start off with what's going to be the main event, which is the PMSL Southeast Asia. Later on, we're already getting some battles going through. It's going to be BD going for the challenge as they manage to just spot some of all these zombies out there in the open. But in the early game, you need to also respect the damage coming from these zombie doggies that's currently swarming them.
I think they opened the box and got themselves a surprise of a zombie head down there. And the Horde actually just focusing on MCR, but this definitely gives some information to a side of FaZe Clan. Now, we do know FaZe Clan love those early skirmishes against players, not just zombies as well. So for MCR, they had really rough run for their first map of the day before, and I hope it will not repeat itself. But for MCR, they need to part their ways against FaZe Clan. I don't know if they have any clue regarding the information of FaZe Clan here right now. If they don't, then that's going to be trouble brewing over to a side of MCR.
Oh, yeah. And this is where FaZe Clan, they're also taking very scattered approach to try to take on this battle against MCR, who is holding on to 2 different compounds as well. Tajami, now going for the push. Nate's now being brought right in and going in for the battle through the walls. And now, with even Tony, who's supplemented from the edges as well, how will this turn out? Big bang! It does catches onto that member of MCR. Already going for the tours as they will find the second one in a row. Sakura is just super efficient on these strikes.
MCR. You know, the emo group MCR, it feels like that suits the best situation right now for the side of MCR. But not just that, hey, we thought it's going to be a peaceful run when it comes to C versus D. We're entirely wrong because fellas Indonesia seems to be tempted to go against Team Mantap, even though they might be spelled as tempted, but it's Team Mantap there on their knees. Seems like 4 teams in an early skirmish, not against just the zombies, but with the other teams as well. So this gonna be thinning out the crowd of getting what has left later by end of the run of this map. We have only 4 teams out of 6 here right now, and FLS, which going to be the fellas ID, getting the lead at almost 1 million worth of loot.
Yeah, this is the most exciting team that we've been able to actually catch during the qualifiers, where they absolutely love these early battles and also has good priority heading into the latter stages of the matchup. As you can already tell, they're just having the eyes on the prize. The prize now being the members of HLV slowly being struck down in swift manner and just having a perfect execution. Keep an eye on to Pram, because Pram has been just looking so good throughout all these matches that he's played so far. And now closing right in. HLV, they're on the outskirts. It doesn't seem like they have much of a choice than to take this scattered approach. And Ate finally chimes in as well. This is a close fight between the Malaysians and the Indonesians.
You know what crossed my mind just now?
What's that?
What if all the teams being eliminated out, we're only left with 1 team? One team will loot everything else. That might be the case too. That's one of the tactics you can actually go for when it comes to this game mode. But for HLV, I mean, like, I think they got the wrong mode here, guys. They thought this is going to be a battle royale, possibly. I think they're definitely in a different... They have the wrong tournament going on between HLV and especially FLS. They're just gunning for these teams here right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, taking a look at the Indonesian qualifiers, they absolutely love their battles, but oh, they bite too much more than to get you. Pushing Ate like that is a no-go. And Ate, there were so many moments he went for a miraculous 1 versus 2 versus 3. And this time, he might actually take the entire squad with him. So now, trouble lies up ahead for Sadafella's ID. These nades are looking lethal, and Jury gets knocked down as well. The exchange is not really looking to be the cleanest coming from the Sadafellas. And now, Arya, what more can he do this time? This is a nade flying in. Oh, it's a little wide. Thankfully, he will be able to make the cut, but here comes another one.
I feel like we might end up with only 2 teams by the end of the day. Another one bites the dust, back on his knees. It's going to be FLS players, but finally finish off. We're down to only 3 teams. Let's just watch these 3 teams. Make it probably 2, because FaZe Clan, well, they love the fight. They're going to go on with the fight anyways. And Sakura down on his knees next. Is AKG FaZe and FLs for FL side? At least the fellas right now, they are having a great day. There's nobody else in contention, but if they're nearby, I feel like they are quite nearby as well. So they want to be part of this. Maybe just we don't have a chicken for the dinner. Maybe a zombie for the dinner by end of this map.
Oh boy, I think like what you say could easily come true with so little players left. FaZe Clan, they're looking to wipe out the rest of the side of Arkong. Now going in for a very close battle. BD survives. And they take out FaZe Clan, the #1 team.
What is this? What is this game? There's one FLS player. If got finished off by a boss, there's gonna be only AKG left in this map. There's nobody else. Nobody else will win this except for AKG. And if AKG even got finished off by the boss, we got nobody to win this round. What is that supposed to mean?
Well, it can only mean one thing. Whoever survives, they get to bring the most value of this entire match. So AKG is the only healthy team left alive. Oh,
with
boy.
3 players, not entirely healthy at the time being, I have to say. As the last team standing on the lid in the map is yours. I don't know. FLS do have one more. Hey, they already. Okay, FLS do have one more player. FLS one last player. I don't know where he's at. But this is nighttime now. I don't know if that one FLS player can survive through the night by himself against all these zombies and big bosses laying around. AKG, hopefully they don't get spread out too thin. If that's the case, we've seen that before when the whack of a boss that's easily knocked down any of these players.
Yeah, I think like this is an absolute concern when you're only a member left heading into this matchup. Because easily some of these bosses can just overwhelm you. So what exactly will be the approach? Like, do you just want to loot like maybe a few 100,000 knowing that almost the entire lobby is already out? Like, they don't really have too much worry because fellas, they've already got 8 elimination points. That's currently the highest point because AKG, they're still on the outskirts. They're not even in the radiation zone yet. So AKG can just go ahead, charge into the mines and just take everything for themselves.
They got all the time in the world, yes. 11 minutes on the clock. That's gonna be them against the rest of the zombies. It feels like we are literally... I think I spoke too soon when I mentioned I am legend. That's the case of this scenario right now. They are the remaining human beings left, except for that one particular player of FLS. That's it.
It cannot be true enough. Like, it's just scary on how everything you've mentioned before a game starts actually happens in the game, right? Like, we were just casually talking about the movie that involves, you know, a form of apocalyptic setting, and all hell literally broke loose. And keep in mind, we're not even past 10 minutes of the match. And now we do. Finally, it's been 10 minutes. It was like, what? It only took 6 minutes for these guys to conclude all of these battles. Kind of insane.
If you guys... some of you guys seems to be new to Metro Royale, right? If you don't know the timer, yes, it seems like there's 20 minutes in there, but it's only 10 minutes of game time for the players to actually count their loot when they extract out. If it's more than 10 minutes, then it's going to be no more of value of that. But the other 10 minutes, why is it 20 minutes? Another 10 minutes is a graceful period for them to wrap things up, just to make sure that they have whatever left of their dignity and just left the grounds. That's just it.
Yeah, that's true enough. You know, like on normal Metro Royale, maybe you have that full 30 minutes, but do you really want to spend all that 30 minutes to loot everything up? But it comes down to esports mode. We want things to be action-packed. We want it to be fast-paced. And honestly, have we taken it too far with how fast-paced this match has been? With only 2 teams left?
I want to see that one last player of FLS. Where is that?
Yeah, like, I think we had the glimpse. He's kind of on the outskirts, not really having, you know, the best of time per se, because what can you do? If you go to the radiation zone, you need to deal with bosses. And you might not just deal with one boss, you might deal with 2 to 3 bosses at the same time. So I guess the final member of fellas, he's trying to play it safe. Hey, actually, he's just around the corner. the game might just be wrapped up right here if they can find Arya. And perhaps they might have had the clue. Maybe, just maybe. But Arya, playing it safe, moving into the lighthouse, onto the very corner of the map. Is he just gonna hang out around here? Because this is a very, very smart move. He's just maneuvering around.
Oh, just hope that he did not discovered by these guys using the zip line. That's it.
I hope
being
so
shot
too.
down from afar, and also painful to watch, as the last player remaining. He got limited pockets, by the way.
He got to make do, and looking at it at the moment, at least it's been about close to 1 million or so in the hands of Arya. Also keep in mind, like, if you take a look at all these teams that were eliminated, they're on a negative 1.3 million. Because they already by default carry some loot, and here comes the zombie.
He's just gonna dodge whatever zombie. He doesn't want to attract more zombies. It's night time, by the way. He's trying to be as quiet as possible and just loot up and find whatever crate, because he knows if a horde is coming. A horde is coming up to his direction. There's no way he can actually deal that with himself, not being noticed by the other side of a team. And plus, to fight against a boss by your own at this point, not really a great idea.
Yeah, and on top of that, he's not too far off from where AKG is currently at, right? So once he has to deal with these hordes, then his position has been compromised. Like, the moment these sounds are made, AKG would just follow the trail of that sound. So what can he really do? That final member, Arya, has got to stealth his way, loot up, and maybe pray that he could just make it out alive. Arya's already thinking about extracting, but the zombies are here!
No!
Oh no!
He cannot open fire. What can he do?
Oh, come on. Clear the dog at least.
Too many zombies. No! The moment he opens fires, it's going to be too obvious. Oh no! He's trying to just evade and run, or maybe try to find another extraction point, or wait for the sun to rise or something like that, so there will be less zombie to deal with. But nighttime is so difficult for him to survive alone right now. And AKG, like you mentioned, they're not too far off either. So the moment he opens fire, it's not just a horde will be running through the side of Arya. These AKG players will take advantage of the situation as well.
Yeah, I thought that, AKG might have actually used this time to just go into the radiation zone, and here we go. Oh no! Arya's out! Oh, thankfully.
At least it's safely out.
Yeah.
It's safely out.
I was really worried because I saw the health bar suddenly deplete to 0. I thought it was taken out, but usually when you extract, your health bar is pretty much gone. So, okay. So now it's only down to AKG. So 6 minutes we have before they actually get out of it. So Choo-Choo, I guess it's podcast time to see how they actually deal with zombies. And look, the sun is up. Finally.
Yep. It's just right before Arya just exit out as well. If only he actually waits a bit more longer. But the thing is, for Arya's situation, right, for fellas, even though they can, he can try and fight a boss, but it's too much at risk. If he goes down, they might not even get any point out of that. There's no value for the loot. But for AKG now, we want to know how much can they get, and that's the thing, because there's no more. Except for the zombies and the bosses, of course, there's no more contention towards the other teams out there. Problem is, the biggest enemy for them is the time. That's just it.
Yeah. And, out of all these groups, just from my honest opinion initially, I thought, the most explosive groups are Group A as well as Group B, considering, these teams absolutely love to fight, which we did manage to see. I didn't expect Group C as well as D to even top that by, 10 miles of a margin? 6 minutes of play, we're already seeing, all of these population gone, and now it's only the AKG party. Are they done just yet? They found themselves at an extraction point, 4 minutes left on the clock, and I think, they're feeling confident. They know that there's not going to be any more problems lying ahead. They don't really care about the final play of fellas to move out this matchup.
But they just barely got over 1 million of total value of the loot. I think they can actually go for more. And they can absolutely like just toss all the not so valuable. There's still 4 minutes on the clock. They already found themselves a extraction point. So it's okay to drop some of the non-valuable items and just try to find a higher value loot. But the problem is they kind of work for their time as well, I guess. In the case of AKG, yeah, it's great that they actually got themselves a lot of space for themselves, but unfortunately, didn't actually get those high-end loot by the end of the day.
Yeah, I thought that they would have actually gone on a scavenge hunt with all the time that's pretty much available to them. That's close to 10 minutes, good enough for them to visit the next hotspot. I believe that to be somewhere around the central area without even needing to commit to the mining grounds. So I guess like it could have been a lot more efficient for the side of Arkong, but from what they've been able to acquire, I guess this is just about as good enough with close to 1 billion and also 4 elimination points. But now that you mention it, FLS might have actually been able to win this match, because if they move out now, the fellas, they have about 2.4 million from just eliminations itself. So it will still beat AKG.
Is it really? Because don't forget about the 8 elimination from FLS, like you mentioned just now. So we're going to have to wait. They tally up scores by the end of the day. Maybe AKG have slight advantage with the 4 eliminations too. That's going to be, like you mentioned, 1.2 mil. So probably they can end up around over 2 million as a total haul. But FLS, don't forget about the 8 elimination. That's double what AKG has for the end of the day. But hopefully BD don't overstay himself and forgot to extract himself out, because then everything would just go down the drain if that actually happens. No more time for the side of AKG. It's best to just go out and find himself another extraction point right across. They're trying to find anything valuable in the very last minute here, but just don't overextend your stay. But when it comes to the grouping, right, I'm looking forward for Group A versus Group D then.
Oh, yeah. Imagine how chaotic and how quickly it will go by. Well, that is something that we'll have to see coming into perhaps tomorrow's matchup, where we see maybe a little bit more involvement coming from Group B, Group D, to face off against all these other teams. So I believe it's just about time. We got 1 minute and a half left. So BD will just consider just booking out. He's still scouting around, maybe hoping to find anybody out there. Yeah, just get out of here.
Just go.
You got just about enough. I mean,
just go.
He's still scavenging.
He's trying to find some value, but just go. There's nothing good of value here anymore. Just go.
Well, he still wants to take a couple of meds, getting some vitamin C perhaps.
If he finally got finished off by the boss now, that's comical, because he's alone right now. The rest of the team has already exited out.
And he's actually going further and further away from the side of the extraction zone. AKG!
Oh,
hey, come on.
They got less than a minute.
He's got to get out. I mean, if he doesn't get out...
Are you kidding me? Is he sabotaging his own team right now?
Do they even
get
know the
out?
rules? I mean...
Get out!
Oh, no, not like this.
Are you kidding me? Oh, my God. This is a troller for the team, man.
They're absolutely trolling.
Oh, no, are you kidding me?
Oh, no.
What if he couldn't find an extraction point anymore?
There was just one right beside him, right? He's going further and further. I mean, there's nothing to be gained here. They need to play by the rules.
No, 10 seconds ago, this is going... What? Are you kidding me? FLS is going to win this round.
FLS, after all that, with only one player, you're telling me that FLS with less than 1 million Metro cash actually wins this round?
Oh my God.
Ah, come on, BD. You just threw it for your team.
He's the backdoor stabber for the team. Oh, they're definitely furious right now.
An absolute sabotage. Unacceptable. It's unacceptable,
He's sabotaging his own team. There's nobody else, because you can't blame like the other team. And they're done. And he couldn't find an extraction point.
There's nothing left. Can we just boot out? Nate yourself if you have to. Like, because he's negative value, right? He's negative value. Even if he picks something up, it's not worth anything. Oh, look, he found a mob. Like, he's gonna challenge the boss right now.
Oh, this is embarrassing to watch.
Oh boy.
Just go and die.
Sounds a little harsh, but yes, please.
There's no
the boss
point to this
even
anymore.
goes down. That's not even the boss.
AKG, I don't know. Oh my god, I feel bad for the team right now.
Okay.
Why, BD? Why?
I guess they mistaken the rules. Like maybe they thought that you just need the team with the players with the values to be out.
There's no point.
You need all the members to be on board, and he didn't receive the memo. He absolutely didn't receive the memo.
He skipped the meeting. He skipped the briefing for the day.
A harsh lesson to be learned. Happened in the qualifiers before, but Team Arkong, I guess he's gonna burn us 8 minutes more. Yes.
Okay,
no?
guys, if the audience have no clue why we're laughing, why we're being so critical about this. Now, after the 10 minutes left on the time, and that means it's a no more point for the team. They have to extract everyone alive before the 10-minute mark. That's going to be the Esports rule for the Metro Royale. They only have 10 minutes just now on the clock, and the remaining 10 minutes is basically a graceful period for you to wrap your dignity up. This is us wrapping his dignity.
What dignity is there left? Honestly, Chu. Like,
you can't even find an extraction point.
Is he serious? Is he going deeper and deeper to the tunnels where there's no extraction point? He's got no idea, doesn't he? Somebody tell him. Somebody, whether it's the marshals, whether it's the officials, whoever that's currently assisting the team and getting the memo out there, I beg you, please get us out of here. This is painful for us, Chu. We got to talk through another 7 minutes.
No, I mean, I wouldn't mind talking about it, but imagine how his team feels when it was them over almost 3 million worth of total value, 1 million over if he actually cashed out when he extracted the points before the timer ran out at 10 minutes left just now. And plus that four elimination will give so much value, and the team definitely gonna be face palming all the way. What the heck was he thinking? He got 2 extraction points before right across his eyes.
Yeah, somebody pan the camera on these players when they find out what really went on, because they will swallow the toughest of pills. They were the only team alive, Choo-choo. I can't believe it. I mean, they got some elimination points, sure. But what did it cost them? They should know that when you eliminate all these players, you should know what else is left there. You know, like, other teams should have also eliminated some players out there, so you should make assumptions, it's safe for us to book out. You don't need to loiter around. You don't need to burn all that time, because when you burn that time, you walk away with no points. And sad to say, AKG, they collected how much of value? Close to $1 million, right? That million gone. Imagine in real cash that you go to the supermarket that's filled with money, and you didn't check out when somebody told you to check out for that money, and you just walk around. You're not even taking more money. You're just looking around. It's like, hey, more items.
This is why you guys should not skip schools, okay? Don't skip anything as well, including the briefing time about the rules. So this guy definitely did not know the rules of the tournament. If he knows, he wouldn't overstay himself just like how he did. It feels like he's trolling the team, like, guys, you guys need me now. You guys said what before? Like, what? You don't need me? Then look at what I'm doing. I'm not extracting out, guys. You got 0 points now.
This is an episode where they will wish that they'll forget. Like, probably they'll have a tough time sleeping through tonight. But you know what? We'll go to something a little bit more exciting because we got the airdrop carnival happening throughout the course of this weekend. So, of course, if you guys have not been logging in, you are missing out on a whole lot because you need to call your friends to join a Pirate Bash, where you go into the Pirates Booty Island and collect airdrop tokens and hit into the airdrop carnival in-game event to upgrade your airdrop crate to level 5 for guaranteed set or emo of your choice. During the airdrop carnival, get daily rating protection for 2 matches. That's right, 2 matches of not losing points. You got to be part of this. Don't forget to jump into the game from August 16 to 18 to open your airdrop crate and have a great day.
Next, we have Galadriel X-Suit. Advanced upgradable MG3 is now available. Join the event and unlock coupons and limited outfit awards from 6th of August to 13th of August. Don't forget, a new X-Suit is available for you guys in the game right now. But what an embarrassing ending we just had in the history of Metro Royale.
Perfect wrap up of what just went down, and I absolutely love that ad voice. Maybe I should actually do one later on, but
maybe we should.
Yeah, and how do we calculate this? Like, honestly,
what's the point of calculating this? Nobody else survived. The one that actually survived get a 0 point. Pretty much a 0 for everyone, I guess.
I guess, very straightforward. Whoever got those elimination points, yeah, you got those 300k per elimination. So that means there's only one big winner here, and that's Fellas ID. Yeah, that one player was smart enough. And guess what? He booked out at 15-minute mark, 14-minute mark. It doesn't matter, right? Like, he booked out. Meanwhile, one guy didn't get the memo, costed the entire team. He should have just followed his teammates. Like, that one guy, I tell you.
I mean, I'm surprised that all the other teammates already extracted out and he still hasn't got a clue what is happening. He didn't actually follow their footsteps. He was right in front of them when they extract out with what they have of value, but now it's no more value since he did not get out there on time.
Yeah. I don't know if this is going to be a scene in any form of drama or, series.
Oh, please do. I would love to watch that.
Yeah. I don't know if you watch Game of Thrones where, there was this walk of shame where, we have people ringing bells, walking around, and people just chant, shame, shame, shame. Yeah, I think BD
please
needs to
do
take
that to
kind
BD. We need that.
Yeah. It's hilarious, but it's also so sad. I mean, that was their game. That was their round. They took out FaZe Clan? It's not easy to even take out FaZe Clan.
We were trying to be optimistic regarding it. Maybe he's trying to find something more for the team, for something value. But then the times keep on ticking. It's like nowhere. And the moment you mentioned he's walking away from the extraction point. What is he doing? We have 5 seconds left. I'm calculating the time you need to load before you actually get extracted out is around 3 seconds. Plus another 2 seconds to walk back to where he left things off. I mean, there's going to be a long way to go. I'm like, what? Why?
It's like, imagine you could have just finished your job and you just decided, I want to stay in the office. And your boss is not paying for overtime, right? Like, this is the exact scenario. Like, guys, don't do the extra lifting. Like, if it's done, it's done. Clock out at 6 if your boss says 6. So, I guess lesson to be learned right here, of course, whether outside of the game, inside of the game, that if you've done your duty, you're set. You're set. You just don't need to do the extra. So, I don't know what else should we say. I mean, Chu, do we have to calculate this long? I wonder. or are they just giving BD a little bit of sounding before we get there?
And the best meme right now with the sound of that's gonna be the best meme sound.
Look at Arkong. Look at Arkong right now.
Arkong, what were you thinking? They got more than fellas Indonesia just now. It was definitely around 4 million total points, including probably just around 3 million, but it's more than enough for them to actually get at least some numbers up, and it ended up with a 0.
Could you just imagine the rest of the casters
Oh,
and what
Arya.
their reaction are? Arya is the MVP, the only player who survived to bring that 1.4 million back. Absolutely legendary. This game is historical and hysterical at the same time.
Oh, why KGBD? He's definitely being blamed so much. I don't know how the team's morale after this, because they still have one more map to go, and it's a more flourishing map of Arctic base. By the way, we do have more loot in there. I think he probably gonna learn his lesson. At least he learned it now than later. So.
There's two sides to this, right? There's BD and there's Arya, where Arya fellas must be so shocked, like, hey, we're number 1. But how? We only got 1 player left. How did we win this? Tell you what, guys, take a look at this recap and see what went down. Just see what went down. Look,
We're just quietly just gonna watch this.
two opposite ends and watch what happens next. Watch what's happened. Like, okay, Arya got the almost cross path against AKG, could have been eliminated. And imagine this, if he was eliminated, who would get the points? Almost nobody. Almost nobody. But here we are. Fellas is in the top 6, ladies and gentlemen. With only 1 round being played, they are now within the top 10 ratio.
AKG. They could have easily taken over the first page by end of that map just now, but no, they want to make it hard for themselves. I don't know what were they thinking. I don't know why they're not clear about the rules. The BD definitely skipped the briefing day, and now it just caused the entire team. Look at how one player to sabotage the entirety of AKG, and they ended up with a 0 in the overalls.
Choo, this is a classic case of from hero to 0. Literally 0 at the moment. And final matchup of this evening, I believe that, my cheekbones are a little sore from laughing as well as smiling into how,
I'm crying inside, man.
I'm crying inside too, Choo. I absolutely understand you. The show goes on though. One more match remaining. Arkong, they better learn what's on the line. I mean,
Now, the question is, right? Did none of his teammates try to shout over? Maybe one of them actually playing next to him or something like that. That try to remind him, you need to exit out now.
I don't know, Chief. Like, from the looks of it, it feels like nobody really had the clue. If they did, like, they would just steal his phone away and just walk him to the extraction as well. I'm just saying, of course, they're not allowed to play on other people's phone or so. Definitely, that's breaching some of the rules out there. But now, this is just a good reminder to all the teams out there, get out of the map before that 10-minute mark. Like, if you see the clock running to 12, you got to walk to the extraction point, because that's probably enough time for you to walk from anywhere into the nearest extraction. So that being said, final matchup, I don't know what to expect. Are we gonna see another I Am Legend story? This one really is a legend, right? He did survive till the very end. He's the last one standing.
I don't know how to put words into that one particular map just now. That was great. You guys have the firepower, but who cares if you don't cash in all the loot when it comes to the last minute point mark? Then I'm just I'm looking, there's a delay between the live and also the chat right now, right? I'm looking at the chat and a different channel too, just to see the audience reaction to this as well. But I think definitely AKG know what at stake here. So I hope they don't try to do the same thing for their last map of the day.
Well, you can continue to dream of getting that prize, or you could be the meme and not get any prize at all. And hopefully there's no more memes like that to happen throughout the course of the tournament. But here we are, the final matchup here between Group C as well as Group D before we eventually carry forward to the Battle Royale round of PUBG Mobile Super League Southeast Asia as we dive into Arctic Base to wrap up day one of the group stage.
Final map of the day. I don't know what to expect anymore, honestly. It was a mind-blowing round, man. A mind-blowing round. I don't know how the harmony of AKG team right now is. How peaceful can they play as a team right now? Definitely something will be tilted when it comes to their gameplay. But I don't know if we're gonna have the same early skirmishes on, because it seems like FLS, AKG, even FaZe sharing the northern side of the compound pretty close amongst themselves.
Yeah, back towards that, you know, Choo-Choo, I feel like we reached towards the cap of our mental capacity for a moment. So this Arctic base is definitely a fresh breath of air at the very least. We do see a little bit of skirmish coming from the side of Fellas ID. They feel a lot more happy to have another chance for a go against Arkong. Yes, go for it. And we are already seeing heavy casualties where one player has been sent off. And it really feels like the side of Fellas, they want to exact vengeance because they have the majority of the members taken down earlier. It's really landing some really sick shots.
Now, we already feel bad about MCR early on because of how Boss just stops them from extract out. Now, that's a different story entirely, right? But after seeing AKG, that definitely will affect the entirety of the team's performance. Yeah, the frustration and also the disappointment they have to go through from the previous round. If they can reset, great. But if it's not resetting, then it's going to be a bit of a problem for the teams. Oh, it's going to be Arya against a Commando here.
Oh, and it seems like there is a goose chase going on. And Arya will be trailing from the back as Jerry is the one soaking a little bit of that damage and also distracting the boss. They should be able to secure this in a jiffy, and yes, they will. Fellas, they get rewarded with a hefty stash, but there's still a lot more coming into their direction. So this area of play definitely going to be giving a whole lot of rewards for the side of Fellas. Meanwhile, FaZe Clan, this time, having a smoother journey to kick things off here as they slowly make their way towards the missile silo.
Missile silo where everybody will focus 100% there. We have FaZe Clan, the first team, probably going to be reaching out around the radiation area. We have so many big bosses laying around. They have to deal with it first. Have to make it fast as well before the other teams start to steal away from them or even try to take them down. Because the moment they start to open fire, AKG probably will be reaching around this corner. But AKG lost one man early on. So AKG, FRS is just tailing from behind as well. FaZe Clan, they already got the compound first. But Missile Silo seems to be a bit overcrowded with teams and bosses at the same time.
Definitely seems to be the case right now as teams are just pretty much preoccupied taking on all of these commandos. Sakura should be able to go for a tag team against this commando. Though soaking a lot of damage, they have to also be very wary of their surroundings. All four members are there. They will quickly take down this boss and get themselves pretty much healthy once again. So FaZe Clan, they're being absolutely efficient on their takedowns and are currently the team with the highest value at the moment.
FaZe Clan, I know exactly what they're doing here right now. I'm trying to be a bit more safer. If you compare FaZe Clan with the previous maps, we can see they're a bit more disciplined this time, objective oriented. Definitely just going to go for the looting straight up instead of, you know, finding the players. They should know by now, you know, this is not the Battle Royale, this is the Metro Royale for a reason. For MCR, I hope they can survive here, some things that can actually work in their favor, because in the first map they played earlier today, they definitely had more. But it's just unfortunate. That's what's really unfortunate for MCR in that scenario. And the case of Team Mantap, we don't see the best of them just yet. They're being eliminated by another team early on just now.
Indeed, MCR at least having a little bit of a better run, understanding how to have a rough idea of playing out this Arctic base. So they're slowly gathering all their resources from the outskirts to eventually hit into a deeper area of play just by the very corner of the missile silos. Perhaps looking for a pickoff could also be another way that they could go on and about. Now, we do see the rest of fellas cutting right through. MCR might be looking for a deep setup here. Lan might have actually heard those footsteps, so they are being extremely careful. Lan so far has initiated all the battles for the side of fellas ID. Meanwhile, for the side of MCR, this ain't no black parade, but this will do. So, for now, a widespread across the southern end, where the fellas are also prepping a couple of smokes, trying to deny some vision of their entry. Now, let's see, could this be working well for them? Because he's priming some big nades into the area.
FLS responding with another nade back, and Aichan, I don't know what hit him. Was running probably the collaterals of the explosion at the edge of the radius kind of clipped him somehow. Prom FLS try to find the rest of MCR. Aichan still hugging around the corners. MCR have one man knocked, and Rundrage will be next. It seems like they're down to only 2 players left, and FLS are taking advantage as much as they can. Thanks to Arya, they had a good run last round. All they need to do is just keep it going forward for this map as well.
Yeah, and also I want to give credit where credit is due. For both matches in a row, Fellas ID, they have been exceptional hunters out there to really hunt for players, get those elimination points, and now has backed 3 in total. Though it wasn't exactly a squad wipe just yet, they have taken control of this entire area for themselves just by slowly picking off some of all these players coming in from the side of MCR. Now it's only 2 members left from MCR. They managed to also get one in the form of Arkong, which have whittled them down to only 3 members left. But Arkong, they're also playing very safely into this matchup. Meanwhile, I say that, they have finally made their way into the missile silo to be joined by FaZe Clan 2.
FaZe seems like aggressively, proactively try to find them. Sakura definitely spotted a monkey just around the staircase. But I have to think about the time. Now, still have 12 minutes on the clock, and time is ticking as they try to approach and take out AKG. They're also wasting their time from looting FaZe. It's all about the loot here as well for the side of the teams, if they have to be extra vigilant with their loot value by the end of the day. That's what really important by end of this round. For AKG, they kind of stuck themselves in a corner. Now this definitely gonna waste a lot of time. A lot of looting time will be burned out just to wait it out against FaZe Clan.
Oh, they're setting an ambush here, but it will definitely take a while because FaZe Clan have just basically scavenged about half of Missile Silo. It's still going to take a while before FaZe Clan looks for an exit because there's more than 10 minutes on the clock. So long as it's not nearing the final 5 minutes, I don't think that FaZe Clan is going to be moving out just yet, as they are taking this battle against Fellas ID.
Here comes one. Fellas, they run a pretty good run here. I do love how they just take bravely confrontation to its side of FaZe Clan. And know the fact they have to deal with FaZe Clan. I'm not sure how many extraction points are there in the missile silo area right now, but it's definitely one here at the current moment. And Dree, FLS spotted out Kim Tony. Oh, you definitely see him through and just shoot it straight away. AKG on the other end as well, trying to steal it away for the points of eliminations here. That's going to be 300,000 worth of value for each player. But Prom spot out AKG from above. FLF, they have to fan out to deal with 2 teams at the same time. But for FaZe Clan, there's going to be only 1 player left.
AKG decides to also chime right in to make this a 3-way battle. So it's going to be a little bit rowdy, especially with the presence of AKG, but there's only 2 members left for AKG. BJ as well as BD over on the back now gets bombarded. Pram also being burned with that Molotov thrown right in. Not too straightforward of an ordeal. Now with those grenades primed right in, an all-out battle ensues with BD also cooking up a grenade. I don't think he'll be able to actually catch. Pram actually does have a whole lot of damage to just chip away against the side of Pram. But now, with the flank side being set up, Lan is looking to close through. But BJ, he's on the lookout and he will be looking to also go for that pickoff. Attack team against Lan. So the rest of FaZe ID can also close in. Beautiful shots connecting. And Arkong, they're absolutely wiped off.
At least they ended up with 1 elimination points. There's 300,000 secured for them at least, but definitely not a redemption from their last run where, you know, if you know, you know. That's
yeah. The less we say, the better, right? About the past round. Even better yet, forget it even happened if you're any members of Team Arkong. But you know, I thought that they would have committed into that camp underneath the tunnels because the fights weren't exactly over just yet. Teams were still in the midst of looting. They thought maybe if they go into challenge FaZe Clan, they would have walked away with a whole lot more. Meanwhile, you know, the fellas, they absolutely enjoyed their moment and currently had 4 million in their bags.
FLS, all they need to do is just secure those extraction point and make sure they will get it guarded and safely covered till the end of their run. Now for the side of FLS, they already got 5 million in their hands, probably going to hit into the 6 million value later on. Yes, they definitely got it. And it's already heading towards 10 million for FLS. This is a big high loot value on each of the players. So I just hope they're really heavily guarding over the extraction point here right now because we have 8 minutes left on the clock. Once they hit the 10 mil value, I think it's best for them to just extract out for the sake of their safety.
Yeah, they still have some time left on the clock, but where exactly is the nearest point for evacuation, we'll have to find out later on. Meanwhile, HLV have been playing on the outskirts as well. They have been able to bring a total valuation of close to 3 million at the moment. I think like 4 million is also within reach because of how much time that there is at the moment. So this is going to be the other team that will be racing up against FaZe Clan. Also keep in mind that FaZe Clan only has 1 member left, but that 1 member is carrying close to 4 million at the moment.
Which member of it?
That I wonder. FaZe Clan. Who
think
exactly is
one last player that left for the side of FaZe Clan? I think that's him. There's only 1 player left. There's a lot of loot. He needs to get out safely. Just hope that he won't bump into any bosses down there. But for FLS, they try to hit the 10 mil mark and try to just make do with what they have. It's not going to be enough. You cannot be satisfied if you still have a full squad here. But for the side of Team Mantap, they're just going to sort down and settle down with 300 over 1,000 of value right now. They all already put it out into the extraction point just now, making sure that nobody else will try to take it away from them. I think they learned a lot of lesson from AKG's performance prior to this map. And for FLS, they still have time, but don't forget about the extraction point. We don't see them nearby any of the extraction point to guard it safely. That's kind of a concern for me. Like every single time it's like 6 minutes or 5 minutes on the clock left, you have to make sure the extraction point will be clear of any human being or any zombies or any bosses.
That's right. And looking into the situation as well, I mean, with some time left on the clock, I'm quite surprised that Team Mantap decides to move rather early with only 300,000. Maybe they were thinking that this is very similar to Zombie Uprising, where, you know, close to 1 million or so, you're going to be A-okay. But 300 by Arctic Base's standard is still relatively low, but at least they secured themselves a little bit of something rather than 0 points, which is, you know, much better than, you know, certain teams that don't book out the match. So
we still can't get over it.
yeah, we don't really have to explain any further which one. But
5 million, Sensui boy, he needs to get out. He needs to find an extraction point here safely, because right now time is of the essence, and plus safety is another issue. Now he needs to get out without being harmed by any zombies around the extraction point. He's trying to find one by himself. The problem is HLV still lurking around from the outside, and MCR players too. So if he got botched by any of these players, that's a too high for value loot that he should got it by himself.
yeah, whoever who picks that one up, if it's not Fella's ID, then they will instantly be that number 2 team, considering that he's carrying just about, what, close to 4 million by himself. Sui Boy really knows how to really bring in those big margins every single round. And even remember in those matches where FaZe Clan has been able to win, he has been the MVP, and I think that this will carry on. Sui Boy just knows what exactly to carry in every single moment. Meanwhile, Fella's ID closing in for a record high of 13 million, still stacking up to 14. But they got only 4 minutes left for them to move out. The rest of HLV, they're out there trying to hunt for something, or perhaps are they already getting out of this lobby?
I feel really worried for the last player just now. And back to a side of HLV, I think the plan is just going to be extracting out with a lot of smoke just to make sure everything is safe for them. But that one last player of FaZe Clan is still trying to hit the 4 million by himself. But the problem is time is taking down the line. 4 minutes, and it's now going down on 3. And HLV, Genie, I mean, he's trying to pick a fight, and Sui Boy found himself the extraction point. Just go for it. Just go for it, because you cannot have more than what you can have. He got over 4, almost 5 million on himself just now. But for MCR, don't forget to deduct the points of the loot that they have, or the pre-load they have. The loadout when we start off the game. But for Ginny, he's trying to take advantage here, but this is going to be attracting too much attention when he's trying to extract himself out of the point. Right now, he does have quite a value on himself too. So if he's not being careful about this, there's going to be a bit of a topsy-turvy turnaround for HLV.
Yeah, it's only down to half his left for the side of MCR. Now stuck in the rock in the hard place, literally. Almost no chance for him to actually get out of this one alive, and that grenade does connect. HLV, they managed to annihilate MCR. Oh, another heartbreaking moment for the side of MCR. They just could not seem to wrap up Arctic Base matches in due course. And now, I believe that there's just about even higher value for the side of HLV to loot from.
Yep, they need to make it fast because time's ticking. 2 minutes on the clock. Even though they can have high values here, but they definitely don't have that much time to just pick and choose everything they please. But at least there's only around, what, 2 boxes that are laying around just now? So hopefully they got a clean and safe route out. But I think they're just going to opt for 1 box instead of 2 because of the times that seems to be pretty low. 2 minutes on the clock. They have to be super aware of this. We've seen this happen before, and definitely not a happy ending for HLV. And FLS, they're still trying to go for more. Now, that's going to be almost 20 million probably by the end of this round, including the elimination by FLS, the highest yet we've seen by far.
Yeah, and this is absolutely absurd. I thought that the numbers put by inside of Boom Esports has been crazy. And now FLS is just really shining bright, even brighter than a diamond at the moment. But with this extraction point, I believe it's just about perfect timing that they check out with less than 2 minutes on the clock. So there's not going to be any more shenanigans. Now it's really down to HLV. What about HLV? Do they seem to be anywhere close to The evacuation point, we'll have to find out.
They have
Because
one.
right now, it's down to Genie Boy, and they are already moving in. So, good news, ladies and gents. We will have all the squads to be evacuating this lobby to secure some high-value loot in this Metro Royale finale of day one of action.
Now, there's definitely going to be a landslide win coming up from the side of none other than Fellas Indonesia that scored it so big. I think they probably pushed down all the teams on top of the chart overall rankings right now, including none other than Boom and FaZe Clan, because right now what they have probably is going to be mounting up to almost 20 million. Don't forget about their 8 elimination scores as well.
Yeah, and with that being said, they are the undisputed best team here in this Group C versus Group D battle, where they got themselves 14 million to book out of the match of Arctic Bays. And you know what? Fortune absolutely favors the bold. And of course, the fortune does also favor those who hungers for it. So, it's been quite a day of action here in Metro Royale. Honestly, I have mixed feelings from the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. I don't know. What say you, Chu? It's been a crazy day out here in day one.
MCR, I can see the effort. Well, unfortunately for them, things didn't work out as they planned it to be. I mean, like, they had the idea, but after one misfortune to the other, AKG, I mean, they definitely have something else behind the scene. We definitely know that it's not going to be something that's nice to watch. So I just hope they sort out their drama by the end of this today. But for FLS, I mean, Fellas Indonesia, they definitely have something else. Right now, they are in high contention against Boom Esports and FaZe Clan. And I'm looking forward if we have these 2 teams and 3 teams, make it like it's difficult for us to actually have these 3 teams to fight against each other because each of them belong to a different group entirely. Because Group B we have Boom, Group C we have FaZe Clan, and Group D we have Fellas ID. But for Group A, we can assume the personal things from 79 and nongYing might actually keep on going for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's just the nature of a stacked group overall, right? When you have 2 bloodthirsty type of teams who are ready to brawl. But when we started off with this Group C versus Group D, they were just as explosive, or if not more explosive. And then it just turned out to be a major disappointment, which we did not expect. It was a round for Arkong. It really was a round for Arkong to immediately skyrocket with just one span of a round. But they wasted a lot of time. They just basically threw that lead. They literally just gave it to charity. All that Metro cash, like, you can have whatever's in the bag. Because end of it all, Fellas ID, they stole the win, not because they expected it to, just because they booked out in time with that one player, right? And then,
BD.
And then here we have another massive win for Fellas ID. So they are pushing the advantage, which is what we love to see heading into this Metro Royale to keep things competitive.
I personally want to see how much by end of the day that Fellas ID did actually score and how much loot they managed to collect and loot from the entire run, including the elimination of the points of players. Because for me personally, the elimination of players actually didn't score as much as you actually go for the loot yourself, because you can actually score up to 1 million just aiming for the bosses instead of the players. But it actually do turn things around if you actually saw the second last match of the day, when you are the only team left, that is, there's nothing to stop you from looting up. But unfortunately, you know,
things happen.
Trollers happen.
Put. Yeah, we'll get back into that in a short bit as well. You know, like it's also great to also see very creative moves. I think, like, even back into Group A versus Group B, remember there was that coordinated strike coming in from the side of nongYing, where they know that they didn't have enough time to go in for loot. So what they did, they just pulled out an ambush against M9, stole all that loot. And HLV, they have decent size of loot here in this final match, and they decide, hey, I don't think we have enough. What should we do? Oh, I know. let's try to look out for players like MCR. We were concerned because the timer was running really low, but thankfully they strike against a squad size strength of 2. And MCR, they were absolutely out in the open. So that was very, very coordinated plays coming in from these respective teams that if you can't really gain those big numbers, you can also try to steal it away from other teams. So this is what I love about Metro Royale, because you don't really know the final results until the game is actually over.
Now, we're going to have a bit of a run for our MVP. I do hope he's actually coming out from Fellas Indonesia, because he scored so much just now. But back towards Fellas' idea, we have to give it to Arya. I mean, Arya did so much work. The second last game, he was the last one to extract. He was the only sole survivor for Fellas. That makes them the only team that scores the most, because of how Arya knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly the rule of the game and the tactical and the strategy of it. And not just that, that last round, I think he almost got himself probably around 8 million just by himself for that last round that we had in Arctic Base.
Yeah, and now beating his own record here with 9.3 million, highest ever set by any individual played throughout the course of this esports Metro Royale mode. So I guess the only other runner-up heading into who actually backs the most points could actually be Sui Boy coming in from FaZe Clan, because on those early rounds, which FaZe Clan has played out in different groups, Sui Boy has always carried at least about 3 to 4 million on his own account. Now imagine you merge these two guys into the team. You could just really bring in, I don't know, a printing machine and they'll just basically take it all the way home. But it's been super impressive of what Arya has been able to achieve. His survivability is second to none.
Now, 14 million of total earning. 14! And that pretty much the last round. This is the match ranking, and the total points, including the player elimination, 16 mil, almost hitting 17. That's the highest you can get so far in Arctic Base, and that is within one map only.
That's right, and within that one map, they could have just beaten half of the competition out there. Fellas ID is undisputedly kings on day one, but heading into all the other records being set as well. We take a look into what we saw coming through this matchup. I guess certain teams like Team Mantap wants to play it really safely. They walk away with that 300 and they were sorted out. They just want to ensure that they climb it really steadily, and perhaps day two, they will just look back into the box to see how other teams do it, and they could basically replan their strategies heading into this one. Meanwhile, of course, it's been exciting to actually see how Group D as well as Group C functions all together, because Game 1 was absolutely different from what Game 2 looked like.
Now, I cannot wait to see for the overall rankings later on, but definitely we're going to go for the second map. The second page of our match ranking here just now. Never mind, we're just going to go for overall rankings. We have only 6 teams, right, in one single map. But speaking of which, where do Boom actually stands by end of this? They're probably going to be pushed down to 3rd place due to how Fellas ID just shoots up to the 1st place within that one particular map. I don't know how they did it, but they've done it. And FaZe Clan, at least they still get something out of this. Definitely going to maintain their podium spot in the top 3 as well. But for the other teams, though, I think that we might actually have teams added up with 0 after we had all the groups run here today.
Yeah, and just really taking a look into how the side of Fellas Indonesia achieved it. They wasn't exactly the team that were moving directly into Missile Silo. They cleared any teams that were approaching first, and then later on, they moved into the battle. And, you know, they were putting themselves into a tough spot where there was FaZe Clan, there was also another squad that was Arkong that was challenging them. But by then, once they cleared out the entire sector, that's where they get all that high value loot to be able to book out that round. And with that being said, this is our overall rankings. And oh my goodness, they were so close to beat FaZe Clan. But keep in mind, Fellas ID, they've only played 2 games, whereas FaZe Clan, they played 4.
Whew. Well, that's a lot of numbers up there. That's, imagine by the end of the entirety of the league, how many numbers we reach by the end of it. Probably hitting millions, billions, and trillions. Since we're already hitting the 20 millions, we're probably going to hit into the billions soon. But when it comes to the numbers, it don't really lie. It's such a huge gap if you compare with first and the second page.
Yeah, but of course, the top 6, they have always been the most stable of all these teams out there, or at least brought out some really big rounds in particular. Arctic Base is where teams can actually get the highest of values, where, of course, the ones in the middle pack can still play catch-up for tomorrow. And, of course, this will be the group stage matches that will be happening for tomorrow. You don't want to miss any of these actions, as we'll start off with Group A versus D, B versus D onto third and fourth, and to close off our weekend, it's B versus C. So, of course, that being said, I think that we've already wrapped up a majority of all these great moments that we had. What was your favorite moment, Chuchu, for today?
You know which one, and it's definitely not the prettiest one of them all, because if only we have the players cam on the backstage. How was the after effect of the circumstances and the consequences of what BD decided? That would be fun to watch.
Yeah, that will be really, really fun. But of course, with that being said, there's still the PMSL happening real soon, so stick around as we wrap up the Metro Royale round. Take care, ladies and gents.